Good evening and welcome to Acumen Stadium on the campus of St. Clair College. We are at the sports park in back of the college. OFC football action here on We Digital Productions. Hello everybody, my name is Dominic Papa. Of course, joining me on our broadcast tonight, our doctor of football, Badia Kwas, and this is OFC semifinal playoff action. We're finally getting into the second season, and it's the Fratmen hosting the Quinte Skyhawks and Badia. First of all, welcome to the broadcast, and again, thank you for your great work here tonight. And we saw Quinte a couple of weeks back, a little bit of a throttling given by the Fratmen. This is a first-year team, Quinte. Great that they got into the playoffs. What a great accomplishment. It's going to be a great experience gained here. But obviously, when you look at this game, heavy favorites are the Fratmen.
Without question. But the one thing for Quinte is they have one full season under their belt. This is a new season. So if they play their cards perfect and the Fratmen make some mistakes, crazy things have happened in the past. We don't expect that tonight, that's for sure, because this is a heavyweight tilt really on one side.
Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about Quinte first here. The Skyhawks, they didn't come with a full roster. They had a couple of key guys out that might help this situation some here tonight. They've got some all-stars on this team. Obviously a good first year for this team, and certainly they're not just going to lay down and die here in front of the Fratmen.
Without question. In the lead-up to the regular season game, all I heard about from Coach James Rice, the offensive line coach, is Cornelius Brown Jr., the linebacker, who he was with his significant other as they were having a child, so he couldn't make the last game. He's here today, and from what Coach LaChance has told me, from what Coach Norton has told me, and from what Coach Rice has told me, this guy is for real. He's a real good linebacker. I believe he's number 30 on the depth chart, so I'm really interested to see how he is in person, in live, because he's had a ton of accolades from this coaching staff for the Fratmen.
And definitely going to be a player to watch here tonight. Obviously, he's one of the leaders of this team. Let's go to the Fratmen side of it. All kinds of accolades, Badia. A number of all-stars announced this week. They're firing on all cylinders right now, and they're going into the playoffs on a real high note.
Without question. They were able to rest a few bodies last week. A few of them are back in action today, and they're going to probably be on a little bit of a pitch count, if you will. Maybe if they can get them up early in the first half and get those guys maybe a little rest going into hopefully a final, not being too presumptuous. However, they are talented across the board. They, top to bottom, they have the most complete team I remember seeing probably in the last decade. And that's no falsehood. That is an absolute truth. Having broadcast with you on this program for a number of years, this is probably the most complete team, top to bottom, in a number of years.
How tough, Badia, and I know I talked to Coach LaChance about it briefly, not to look beyond this game, and certainly I'm sure the coaching staff has been after the guys. Don't look beyond this game. Don't worry about next week. Let's take care of business here. But when you look at this and you look at the numbers, it might be tough to do.
It will be tough to do. No matter who you are, when you are a heavy favorite, sometimes your mind will wander a little bit. Sometimes you can get away with it. Other times it's obviously costly. This is a game where I do think the Fratmen, having missed the season last year like everybody else in the conference, they are not going to squander this opportunity. They're not going to take it for granted. I spoke to a few players before the game, and they are eager. This is a playoff game. It's a new season, and no one's played a playoff game in 2 years. So I think they're actually laser focused. So this year's a little bit different. I do feel bad a little bit for Quinte, because if the Fratmen come out on fire, it will be a very, very quick night for Quinte.
I know you and Justin have your playoff game going already. That's good to see, and that's good for our viewers at home. When we do come back to the Acumen Stadium, the opening kickoff, one of these teams looking to earn the right to play for the OFC title next week. It's the St. Clair Fratmen taking on the Quinte Skyhawks. We have all the action for you right here on We Digital Productions.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Windsor, Ontario, to Acumen Stadium for the OFC semi-finals between the Quinte Skyhawks and the St.Clair Fratmen here on We Digital. My name is Justin Prince. Alongside me the booth tonight is Badi Quaz as we get ready for the quest for an OFC title. The 1-4 versus 4 matchup in terms of the seedings from the regular season, Badi, and it's going to be interesting how things could play out tonight here in the cold.
Yeah, Justin, we can throw out seedings. It's a new season. So you have two teams who qualified for the next season, and this is a single elimination from here on out. And the best team doesn't always win. It's the team that executes the best on game day, and it is a monumental, big-time favorite from the home team, St. Clair. However, Quinte's looking forward to trying to showcase themselves as a first-year team in a first playoff game ever.
But Coach Mike Wachons, keep in mind, had also mentioned throughout the week that you can't take a game like this for granted either, especially with this being a new team, with a lot of motivation towards their direction here for the start of their history in their first ever playoff matchup.
Yeah, and as I discussed with Dominic in our opener, none of these kids have played a playoff game in a couple years. Last year there was no football at all. So I'm not expecting any kind of a hangover from the Fratmen thinking that this is a walkover.
Taking a look at your officials for tonight, Chris Patton is the referee. The umpires, Bruce Carter, Larry Rogers, the downs judge, the line judge, Don Hollerhead with Corey Cousins, the side judge. The back judge, John Dodson. Trevor Hayes is your field judge this evening here in Windsor.
Yeah, quite a veteran crew. Been fortunate enough to actually know all of them, having coached in the area quite a bit, and they do a number of the high school games and junior games and university games.
And this crew has worked together for a majority of the OFC games as well this season, keep in mind. As you can see, the Fratmen will be kicking things off to start off tonight. They will receive the ball in turn for the start of the second half. Quinte bringing their players onto the field here for what's expected to be a very cool one. Let's put it that way. Full hoodie, hats, and gloves weather this evening here at Acumen Stadium here in the middle of November. But things are just about all set to go to start things off. The OFC semifinals. Quinte, St. Clair all set to go. And it'll be booted away by the place kicker and punter, who is an OFC All-Star, Jake Holloway, who built up 3,892 gross yards throughout the season off kickoffs. We're underway for OFC playoff action for Windsor. Return from inside the 5-yard line. Across towards the 20, brought down just past the 20-yard line. A decent return to start things off tonight.
Yeah, a good return for Quinte. They caught the ball cleanly in the air, and they worked from the left hash up towards the right hash, and they crossed the 20-yard line, approaching the 25-yard line. So half-decent field position. They'll be working with the wind to start right now on their first offensive possession.
That will be Nate Ticehurst, who is amongst the returners. Here's a look at those weather conditions. In the gusts tonight, keep an eye on that. As high as 40 kilometers an hour, just under tonight. 26 currently. 4 degrees Celsius, feels like -1 with overcast skies this evening. First try ball set to go. Carter Stevens at quarterback. Starting things off with a quick throw. And that one quickly falls. Incomplete, second down. Or check that to the 30.
Yeah, it was complete, Justin, and that is going to be the recipe for success for the Quinte Skyhawks. They have to get this ball out quick so the pressure doesn't get to them. And in that case scenario, Stevens did get rid of that real quickly, and they got themselves in a good, manageable second down.
Apologies there. That was Tristan Gilbert Thibault who was picking up that reception there, setting things up at 2nd and 4. Ball now at the 30-yard line in the first minute plus. Back to the ground game this time, and it's stuffed quickly. Adam Miskowitz picked up only 2.3 yards per carry in the regular season. That will set up some more field position, but there is a flag down.
Yeah, and it was thrown pretty immediately, so we're going to get this discussion here, and it looks like it probably will result in the first down.
Offside, St. Clair number 4, 5-yard penalty, results in a first down.
So as you saw, Chris Patton, it wasn't offsides, and yes, this was a nice play by the defense. Crew came all the way from his backside end and chased that down, so it was a penalty. The Fratmen were offside, and that does give Quinte a first down. An early mistake, keeping the drive alive for the visitors.
So 1st and 10, now ball spotted at the 35-yard line. Approaching 90 seconds into play here on We Digital. It's the OFC semifinals between Quinte and St. Clair. Lofting things up for a deep ball. Just dropped. Brandon Robbins, the intended receiver. That's the leading reception. Markman, who was the target there.
And you have to bring that in. It was a very good throw by Stevens. He set his feet. He put it in the spot where the worst case scenario was. It was incomplete, and unfortunately for Quinte, it did fall incomplete. You really need to make those plays. Championship game type, playoff game types, you have to make plays when they're presented. That was an opportunity for them to make a play, and it fortunately, if you are a Fratman fan, it fell incomplete.
And when it comes to Brandon Robbins, 30 receptions, 358 yards in the regular season. Led the team in those categories. Ground game on 2nd down. Cutting towards the left, brought down around the 40. Just a few yards short of a first down, however.
Yeah, nice little run play. They did a little bit of a counter action there, and you ended up seeing the running back cut back across the grain, and that takes advantage of an aggressive defense who likes to flow to the ball, and it brings up a 3rd down and manageable, but it does look like Coach Goldie is opting to punt, and this is probably because he's with the wind, and if he can try to flip this field position and maybe get a boomer and pin the Fratmen deep, forcing them to execute their first drive with a long field into the wind.
So we'll see how this plays out for the punt. This season, punting-wise, Connor Rafferty, 32 punts this campaign with 817 yards. Averaged about 25.5, and it's blocked! Blocked around the 20, bounces its way around the 15. The Fratmen jump on top of it at the 13-yard line.
That's a mistake by the punter, Justin. I think it actually he kicked it right into his back. I think the punter took too much time. He let the pressure get to him. You got to get that ball off, and it just sets up absolutely perfect field position, and the strategy of trying to punt and flipping the field works completely against Quinte.
And not the way they were expecting this to start off, I don't think. Approaching 3 minutes in, the Fratmen on the field for their first offensive drive inside the red zone. Beal under center. Savoni the back. Beal looking to throw quick. Complete. Trying to find a little running room. Knocked around out of bounds. That is Jared Hayes-Williams, one of the all-stars for the offense for the Fratmen.
Yeah, a quick decision. He saw what he wanted. It looked like he had man coverage across the board. He picked his widest receiver, and if you can make a man miss, you end up turning up the field for a touchdown. But it looks like there was a flag on the play, so we'll wait for the call as it comes up.
Okay. Offside. Quinte, number 64. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
And the indication from the referee crew, Justin, is it is indeed an offside for Quinte. So they gain about 5, but they'll take the penalty because it'll stay first down.
As you just seen, though, too, Beal having a very stellar season. It's a main reason why he was the OFC quarterback all-star. 25 touchdowns in the regular season. Savoni on the ground, picks up a couple, and gets it down towards the markers. It's going to be close for a potential end goal situation possibly here. Stays 2nd down and about 1.
Well, it's a.
If not, now towards goal as they now move the sticks over.
Yeah, from our vantage point here, Justin, it did look like it was a first down. It was a late call from the officials, but they did give them the first and goal here. So this is definitely 3-down territory. Any way you cut it, you're not going to be kicking anything from this point.
So 1st and goal, just past 3 minutes in, approaching 4 minutes into the first quarter. And there was a couple missteps there. Quick whistles blowing there. Flags are down on the near side of the field, just past and behind, in fact, the flag sticks.
Yeah, I would venture a guess that this was offside on the defense, and it's going to be a half-yard penalty, but we'll get the official call right now from Chris Patton.
Here comes Patton.
Offside. Number 77, Quinte. Half the distance. Repeat first down.
And he did indeed indicate that. So bottom line is the ball can only go to the 1 yard line. Any other penalties, the ball resets to the 1 yard line. So they're going to have 3 cracks if they need it from here.
So still first and goal. Now at the 1 this time. Savoni dives in. Touchdown, Fratmen. And Jacob Savoni, who scored 16 TDs in the regular season, gets the first one of the postseason for St. Clair.
Yeah, just adding to his incredible season. And this is just straight off tackle. And this was the play before the discussion from the officials. And just a straight lead-off tackle, an ISO play. I don't even think it was off tackle. Might have been an inside zone play and led by David Riem. And Savoni's so talented, you give him half a seam, he's going to find the end zone exactly like he did.
See some of the happiness there, including from Preston Knight, one of the special teams players on the roster. Has quick extra point attempt up and build up the point. 7-0. Fratmen early. So a strong start as a result of a special teams miscue, and now the Fratmen are on the board within the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, not obviously the ideal start for Quinte. You would like to see them, after they got that initial first down and got near the 40-yard line, punt and make the Fratmen earn every yard. And the Fratmen didn't have to earn every yard. They got a free 5 yards on a penalty. They got another yard on another penalty. They, in essence, had to go 1 yard on that drive to get into the end zone, and Savoni found the pay dirt, as you see Coach LaChance talking to his quarterback, Michael Beal.
Ben's getting all set for the kickoff here once more. As the Fratmen booted away back to Quinte for their second drive of the postseason. All set to go as the wind continues to swirl here at Acumen Stadium. Booted away. Picked up about the 10-yard line this time. Across the 20. Finding space around the 25. Brought down around the 26. Another solid return. Another solid pickup of yardage for field position from Ticehurst.
Yeah, a very good tackle by London Dawson. The big man hustled all the way down on that coverage team and really worked his way to it. And we're talking quite a large human being, and he made a nice tackle there, limiting that to only about a 15, 16-yard return. And you'll see 45's in the middle of our screen right now, and he'll eventually work his way to the left of the screen, and he'll be the first person to make that contact right there.
Wow. Keep in mind, when it comes to Dawson, he also has been used at times in the offensive schemes at points, too, with the size. 1st and 10 at the 27-yard line. Couple receivers sent into the motion, and the play clock has reached zeros. That's going to be the first miscue on that mark for tonight.
Time count violation. Number 4, Quinte. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
So there comes the call quickly.
Quarterback needs to see that coach sideline. They need to get that play right, and you're coming right off the sideline. There should never be a time count violation when you're coming straight from the sideline. You should already have your play call ready to go.
Play clock already at 2:15 here. All receivers in motion just about this time. Forced to scramble around this time. Stevens dives it down around the line of scrimmage just about.
Yeah, major miscue in the backfield there, Justin. Stevens was looking to do a fake little draw, and he turned to the opposite side of his running back, and you saw him have to scramble because the blockers were actually opening up the inside. So the running back and him, it looked like that was the quarterback who made the mistake, and all things considered, he turned it into a little bit of a positive. He picked up the penalty yardage from that delay of the game.
Exactly. So it's right around the original line of scrimmage for 2nd and 10 now at the 27. Quickly approaching halfway to the first quarter here on Wheat Digital. Glad to have you with us. Reset in the motion this time, and several jump on forward. Flags popping up from the sideline, from both sides, in fact.
I wouldn't be surprised if they call this both ways, because the Fratmen clearly jumped, but there was backfield action that actually moved, and we'll get the call now.
Here comes.
Offside. White number 92. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to say a number or he's just going to say the entire defensive line jump. They were a little eager there. That being said, it's 2nd down and 6, which is 5, which is a manageable down for Quinte.
So 2nd and medium. 3 receivers in the motion this time. Looking past Stevens. Quick work towards the side. Caught around the 40. Knocked back to around the 35. A quick reception pickup from Brandon Robbins.
And that's similar to the opening play where the quarterback sort of pre-snap had an idea who was given the softest cushion, and the receiver just ran a stop route 5 yards past the sticks, came back a couple, and easily converted that 1st down.
Some fans cheering along the stands here. Some of the fans have made the trek down here to Windsor to cheer on Quinte for this postseason matchup. Quickly on 1st and 10, a tackle in the backfield on the rushing attempt from Miskowicz.
Yeah, I'm not a super big fan of that read option, and the only reason probably why, Justin, you'll see on the replay, if I'm the Fratmen, and that's Krug who made the play right away, if I'm the Fratmen, I'm not worried about the quarterback running. I'm going to go to the ball carrier. If Stevens is going to run, go crazy. So I'm not a fan of that. I think they got to commit to the short passes and get it out quick.
So now, as a result, it's 2nd and 12. Quickly rushing out to the left for the throw. Over top, wide open, complete. Kyle Baronette able to get to around the 50 or so. A decent pickup marked around center field. That's a 1st down.
I love the play call. Move the launch point. You know pressure is going to be coming. It's a favorable down for the defense to possibly blitz. You move the launch point. You give yourself an option to possibly run if you have to, but a nice route combination from the Quinte Skyhawks, and that gets them right to midfield and another 1st down.
This coaching staff for Quinte has a lot of respect. It was talked about during the week by Coach LaShawn's keep in mind, and they're showing some good plays early here. Quick throw, 1st and 10, jump play to the 50, complete. This time, Gilbert Thibault, the intended target, picks up about 5.
And it's going to be very difficult for the rush to get there if they set and throw on time. He throws, and maybe a little bit high, but his receiver went up and got it. Clearly the open receiver. You pick up 5 yards. That's as good of a run play as you could possibly have with a short passing game. Perfect.
Keep in mind when it comes to Carter Stevens, in the regular season, he was only averaging about under 37% for his completion rate. Under 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns with 20 interceptions. Been fairly accurate so far as that goes snapped right to the jet sweep. Moved up towards the chains. Was that planned to Gilbert Thibault there?
I don't think so. I think it was supposed to be a little push pass, but the quarterback and the receiver sort of misjudged the mesh. Either way, turned into a positive play and a 1st down. And if it was designed, great on them. The timing was absolutely perfect.
We talked about it during the regular season when these two teams played here. Warren Goldie, well regarded in various different ranks of football here in the province, showing a lot of that skill here for the team's 1st playoff matchup. Several in motion here, working to throw quickly, drop this time around the 40. That makes it 2nd and 10.
Yeah, and that time, you could tell Coach Morency changed up the defense a little bit. Looked like he only brought 3 in that case scenario, and no real pressure, but he was man underneath across the board. And with the man coverage right underneath, you see McDougall there in perfect position to defend the pass breakup, 2nd down and long. This is not where you want to be if you're Quinte, but this is a great drive for them. If they can keep these type of drives going, they might keep this game closer than what we anticipate, Justin.
And you see them trying to work quickly. They only have 5 seconds. Make it down to 4 on the play clock. Down to 2. They're still trying to work. They're looking at the sideline. And zeros all over the clocks. They did get a timeout out. Just in time, though.
Yeah, that was a formation error right off the get-go. And you see Coach Goldie, he got out of the field. He knew he was going to take that timeout. 2 of the receivers clearly went to the wrong side, and they were scrambling to get in the proper formation. You have a good drive going here. If you can somehow keep this drive going and score and tie this game, then you might have some people sitting a little bit on their edge. So you take the timeout, you're in the game. Why wait for it if it does get out of control? Use it now.
As the hashtag says for Quinte from social media earlier today, the hashtag is Mean Green. And so far, this drive has showed some good strength after the struggles on the first one. 2nd and 10, though, at the 45 after having to burn their first time out of the half. Sending 4 in the motion this time. Going out to the left once more. Bullet pass over top the defenders, but dropped. Baronet the intended target, and that makes it 3rd and 10.
Again, moving the launch point here, you'll see on the replay, he's going to sprint out to his left. It does a nice job of attacking the line of scrimmage to throw. Jake Holloway was inches away from maybe making a pass breakup, but that might very well have distracted the receiver enough to force the incompletion. And it does look like Coach Goldie is not going to gamble at the 45. He's going to try to exercise that option of pinning the Fratmen deep. So we'll see if they can get this punt off. Last time, I swear, it was the punter. He was slow getting that ball off.
See how this is executed this time from the punt unit. And way far back this time. They're throwing it from the punt formation. Contested and dropped. Incomplete. What a call.
And the Fratmen looked like they were ready. There was still the return man deep. Bad snap, and that bad snap's going to throw the timing off. The punter did actually throw it up for grabs and give himself, his receiver, a chance to possibly come back to it. But the Fratmen were not fooled. There was a defender under, there was a defender over, and now they do give up the ball. I don't mind that attempt. You are the underdog. You're trying to get something going.
By the way, that was Alex Stewart on the coverage. He's a wide receiver and slot back. You could tell he was pumped up by stopping that one. But now, approaching 5 minutes to go in the first quarter, 3 in the motion for 1st and 10 at the 45. Beal nearly intercepted. Right in and out of the hands of Thomas Robinson, one of the all-stars for the defensive side of the ball for Quinte.
Yeah, and the throw just got a little bit away from him. It maybe was tipped because I did see a little flutter to it, so it could very well have been tipped at the line of scrimmage, but that is uncommon. Michael's been quite accurate this whole season, and he was going to his favorite target in Cody Holmes, and that ball just was a little off target, and I do think it might have been tipped at the point of attack.
Either way, 2nd and 10, 30 back in the motion from the 45. Beal, throw it again quick, this time complete. Hayes Williams brought down around the 46-yard line.
And this time I'll give a little kudos to the offensive line. And happy birthday to Coach James Rice. He is their position coach. The offensive line created a nice wall, a pocket, and Beal had an opportunity to set his feet. That square in needs time to develop. And Hayes Williams goes up, perfect hands catch, catches it at the high point, and sets them up with a first down at the 46 of Quinte.
So working quickly once more the offense. 4 receivers to the left of Beal. 4 on the play clock. Beal faking the throw, handing off to Savoni. Savoni with a seam. Savoni running forward. Inside the 20, brought down around the 17. And Savoni with one of the longer runs this season from him brings the Fratmen back to the red zone.
Yeah, a little bit of a delay. You'll see the little pump fake here from Beal. He's just trying to do a little bit of fake of a screen, and then it's just an inside run. And Savoni has actually been bottled up against this team. Quinte's done a good job of run defense against Savoni. It's probably been the team that has negated him the best this season, and that was nice to see him get going if you're a Fratmen fan.
Keep in mind, this defense is one with some stellar individual players. 4 all-stars on the roster from the regular season. Savoni quickly stuffed. Immediately tackled quickly by Berkeley. Ben Levick, one of the defensive linemen, bringing him down fast, and a player is down. Here's the look, though, for reference at the All-Stars. Savoni is one of them, along with Holloway, Beal, Holmes, Levac, Jennings, Hayes, Williams.
Yeah, but the bigger concern right now,
yes,
Justin, is it's Jacob Savoni who's being attended to right now, and they're looking at his lower leg, so I'm not sure if he got rolled up on that play. They're looking at his left leg. And that is something that no one wants to see from this Fratman sideline, which has gone completely silent. They're looking at the outside part of his leg.
So currently being checked. Here's the look of the replay.
And the defensive end on the backside just follows it, tracks it all the way down. And generally speaking, the end man on the line of scrimmage away from the play oftentimes is not going to be blocked. And it didn't really look like anything there that he was rolled up. He might have just got landed on it, or it's a cold night, it got hard. So it's nice to see him running off the field on his own power right now. That's a good sign.
Yes, it is. Savoni in the regular season, 117 carries, keep in mind, 924 yards, 16 touchdowns for 4-2. He averaged just under 8 yards per carry. And now that brings in a backup back. It's David Rio who comes in. 2nd and 12 at the 20-yard line. Looking to pass this time. Beal looking left, complete. Trying to find some space around the 15. Darting around and the ball squeaks out. Picked up by Quinte. That squeaked down to the hands of Tristan Rutherford. And now it is Quinte ball inside the 10-15-yard line.
And that is a great play by Quinte. It looked like the defender, and you'll see Rutherford, he catches this ball here, he's going to work back towards traffic, tuck that ball in, but as he comes back here, you're going to see a hand go right in and punch at it, and that's number 30, and that is Cornelius Brown Jr. That is the gentleman who did not make the trip last time. I referenced him in the pregame, how this guy is a playmaker. Coach Rice talked to me about him, Coach Deschamps talked to me about him, and there makes an impact play keeping his team in the game.
He forced 2 fumbles in the regular season, and by the way, Quinte led the OFC in forced fumbles this season, 13. Now they have the ball at the 9. Lacking to try and throw it quickly, nearly deflected around, and does get deflected down incomplete.
Yeah, and that's just Jordan Krug. He's had a tremendous year. He's already made a tackle for a loss. He gets in the backfield, gets some pressure. Great swim move, gets by his defender, comes to the realization that he can get to the quarterback on the quick throw. Hands up, pass batted down. That is outstanding effort, quick play by Krug. And really, I really do think he's one of the top defenders in the league.
It was talked about during the week. He did an interview where he mentioned he lost 40 pounds during the offseason between the past couple seasons. And essentially had to learn how to turn his body and get skinny. Able to do so there. Meanwhile, the dive on 2nd down dropped around the 20. And that brings it to 3rd down, intended that time for Robbins once more. As we take a look at Quinte's schedule.
Yeah, and they did win 2 games. And good on them for coming into the league and actually winning 2 games this year. However, this is an 0-0 season right now. They do not have a loss on their playoff record right now, and they are in this game. But I suspect, Justin, that those lopsided scores you see from the Fratmen is causing some concern for the Fratmen sideline right now. But don't be surprised if you see a conceded safety here from the visitors.
Especially with how deep he is right now in an end zone. There it is right there. There's the kneel down. There are the points. It's now 9-0 Fratmen with a concealed safety.
And guaranteed Coach Deschamps is going to make them kick. That's been a common theme this year. He's forced the opponent to kick, even though they're with the wind. Dante Lewis is the OFC return specialist of the year, and I mean, if they want to challenge him, they can try and challenge him, but he's made just about everyone pay, so we'll see the option on this kickoff, because this is the first kickoff that Quinte will try, but they do have to kick from their own 35.
And keep in mind, too, here's a look at the schedule. The combined score differential in the regular season, 128-20. It's now 0-0, obviously, in terms of the postseason side of things. But a lot of the regular season performances outside of one were very dominant wins.
No question. The Fratmen have been top to bottom the class of the Ontario Football Conference. Their offense has been outstanding. Their defense has been opportunistic. Their special teams, again, Jake Holloway is a 2-position all-star this year. The kicker and the punter. That's 2 separate positions. And they have the return specialist. Outstanding all around.
Just about all set for the kick after the safety, meanwhile. Up in the air it goes. Heading towards Lewis. Lewis for about the 23. Lewis gets a block from Holmes. Lewis gets a seam. Lewis down the sideline. Dante Lewis to the end zone. Flags are out of the back of the play as Lewis scrambles in for the TD. But will it stick? A flag is down at the 50.
Yeah, Justin, I do think this is against Quinte. I think the Quinte player took a little bit of a late shot, at the Fratmen, but you'll see here. The only criticism I have here is I still like to see the ball caught in the air, but it took a perfect basketball bounce to Dante, and he's patient. He's going to let his blockers, and there's your all-star receiver, Cody Holmes, leading the way, and then look at the convoy. You have white jerseys leading up and then gone. This guy is special for a reason. I don't know why teams are still trying to kick it to him, but they are, and here's the call with the flag.
Unnecessary roughness, tourist hit against Quinte, number 26. 15-yard penalty will be applied on the kickoff. The touchdown was good.
Exactly as I suspected. It was an unnecessary roughness behind the play on Quinte, and they are going to kick this extra point, and then they're going to walk off the 15 on the kickoff. The indication from the referee saying that the Fratmen are going to elect to kick from what I believe is going to be the 50-yard line of the opponent.
So Hallway now sets things up. He set the mark in the record books. Keep in mind, in the regular season finale for those extra point attempts, it's now 16-0. And by the way, as a result of that game last week against Hamilton, close the regular season, no surprise with it being the last game of OFC play, Dante Lewis got the Special Teams Player of the Week as well. Yeah,
he's been special all year long, and I'm very surprised. Last week, Hamilton kicked to him. They gave him 11 chances, and he got well over 200 yards of return yards. I'm not sure why. Kick it out of bounds. At least it's not going to be a touchdown. It baffles me. I just don't understand that. But now this penalty is going to move the ball, and the Fratmen are going to be kicking from the 50-yard line of Quinte as a result of that 15-yard penalty. And the wind is up, but this might give Jake an opportunity to possibly hit a pooch-type kick and see if the ball can get bouncing around. There's really no risk because it looks like the Fratmen are going to be able to cover this quickly, being able to set up in the Quinte side for this kickoff.
Well, that's the confirmations now coming in from the officials before the tee gets placed down by Hallway. 16-0 Fratmen. That return changing a lot of the complexion of how the rest of this first quarter and start of the second could fare out. Hallway just about all set. Two return men now back for Quinte. This one booted all the way towards the edge of the end zone, and they elect to kneel it down for the single.
Yeah, I bet you Jake's a little disappointed with that. I know it's a point, but I bet you he wanted that ball to be caught at around the 2-yard line, forcing Quinte to actually go and try to gain yardage. But this is going to work its way all the way up to the 35-yard line. But a point's a point, 17-0 right now, and so far, the Fratmen offense hasn't had to do a lot. The special teams have been great. The defense has been pretty good, but Quinte's offense has had, I think 4 first downs right now. So maybe they can get one drive here to get this quarter done and possibly score early in the second quarter to keep it a game.
So now 1st and 10, all spotted at the 35. 5 wide receivers set. Running back sets up in the shotgun with the quarterback. Throw quick. Bounced around and nearly intercepted by Hallway. Hallway right off of his hands. That makes it 2nd down.
Yeah, receiver and quarterback need to be on a better page here. They cannot let this ball or this route drive almost 15 yards deep. They are playing 2 high safeties right now, the Fratmen. That is cover 2 man. And you can't not let those safeties come into play. You have to run that at around 7 yards, take the 7 yards you have, and box out the single man. Because if that ball gets tipped or flutters a little, safety over the top.
So now 2nd and 10 at the 35. Wide receivers getting shuffled too. The wide receivers are now throwing. A quick throw is complete. Brought down around the 43. The reception from Gilbert Thibault. But it's Baronet who makes the throw in this regard as they now signal for the 1st down from this. Another big call.
Yeah, they do a little bit of an end-around pass. And, again, you're going to probably have to have a few wrinkles in. Good execution. Not bad coverage. It didn't fool anyone on the Fratmen. The cover man was in stride with his receiver. It was just a good executed play.
Approaching 30 seconds to go in the first quarter. Handed off this time to the running back and squeaks out. Picked up by Hallway. Hallway brought down at about the 46. 6 forced fumbles in the regular season for the Fratmen. That's the 7th now, 2021.
Yeah, they're zooming in on Holloway. Holloway was the benefactor of a gift. I think this was Braden McDougall. 44 should be coming into the screen real soon. Oh, excuse me, it was 52.
Yes, that's
who
Allen.
came in. And that is another all-star who made the play, his counterpart at linebacker. And Allen made a great play to get his hat on the ball. And on a cold day, it doesn't take much. Your fingers get a little numb on a cold day. And there's the turnover the defense wanted.
So a turnover forced on back by the defenders. So that brings in the offense once more. High formation leads to the pass by Beal on first down through a sea of Skyhawks. One punching the turf. It's now 2nd down with 3 seconds remaining in the first.
Oh, the Fratmen got away with a mistake there. And Beal, he knows he got away with one there. First off, Jacob Savoni's back in the game. That's good news. Beal tried to look off the safety, but he didn't look off him enough as this ball was thrown in harm's way. There was a safety over the top and coverage underneath. I'm not sure if that was the right route because the receiver sunk too far to the inside relative to where that ball was thrown. Fratmen dodged a bullet there because that could have been a return for possibly a touchdown. There was not a lot of defenders there, or sorry, people there for the Fratmen to take him down.
This will end the first quarter right here. I formation once more. Savoni jets out. Quick throw. Picked up by Savoni. Savoni jetting out towards the sticks. And a late flag is out. It looked like he got enough for the first, but again, a flag is down after the tackle.
And this was all the way from the back, Judge, and I'm interested to see what this call, because it didn't look like there was any kind of push in the back. It's the only thing that makes sense, but yardage was gained, so I would guess it's a first down regardless. Let's see the call.
And they're going back to converse once more about this call. In fact, for a split second here.
We'll let them call it, then we'll dissect it.
Here we go.
Yeah. Illegal block. St. Clair, after yardage gained, it's going to be a 10-yard penalty and a first down.
Okay, so what happened was Jacob Savoni caught the ball. It was actually a rush because it was a backwards pass.
Yes.
He ran the ball, got the first down, but then there was a push in the back, which in essence negates the yardage but still completes the first down. So there's the backwards pass, and let's see if we can pick this up at the tail end of this. And again, I don't see any push from the back. I don't see it. I think that's a bad call, and I'm not. My first view didn't show it, and that did not look like it was a push in the back. Looked like a Quinte guy ran into his own guy.
Either way, this is now an untimed down here to end off the first quarter. With an I formation look once more, this time to Savoni on the ground. Savoni finding a major seam. Savoni brought down close to the 30. And a big run that picks up more yards than the initial play to end off the first quarter on that note.
And that is great to see if you're a Fratmen fan. There's not any ill effects from his earlier injury.
17-0 Fratmen after one quarter of play. More OFC action after this.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
Welcome back to Windsor, where it's 17-0 St. Clair over Quinte, as they have the ball inside the 30-yard line after a big rush from Jacob Savoni. Justin Prince Badikwan's with you as Dante Lewis starts off the quarter with the jet sweep and a hard hit. A charge in by Liam Wood. He goes from having the frustrations taken with the turf to getting the quick tackle to force a second down to start the second.
Yeah, a little jet sweep action. Dante Lewis gets the ball there, and you'll see the quick little handoff. He was maybe a little too patient here, waiting for a seam like it's a kick return type thing. Hey, you got linemen there. Outrace them to the corner. He hasn't really run that an awful lot this year, but a nice little wrinkle to throw in.
And I seen there too, Wood came a good 10 yards from the backfield, or rather up the field, to get that tackle too. Now it's 2nd and 9 as a result. Beal looking to throw, lofting it up for the end zone. The catch, touchdown, Fratmen. Hayes Williams. And the onslaught starting to build up.
That's the Michael Beal we saw most of the year. This time around, there was no hesitation. He knew exactly what he was going to do. The Fratmen sent a little motion, clearly isolating Hayes Williams on the outside. He knew he was going to the go route, pitch and catch, touchdown, and you'll see here on the replay, Michael Beal has no intention of looking anywhere else. He knows where he's going. Yes, there was a little bit of pressure, but he knew he had man coverage on the outside, and that was the 30, a linebacker who was trying to skate over the top. There's no way a backer going to get that deep on a number one receiver from the outside.
And a misexecution on the extra point attempt. Beal forced to throw, incomplete. What happened there?
It looked like Michael got a little bit of a high snap and mishandled it and was not able to put it down. But he had the fire drill. Fire, fire, fire. People are supposed to release, and it was just batted down. And I guess no harm, no foul at 23-0. I don't like little mistakes like that. I know the Fratmen are favored to win this game, but you want the mechanics of a good snap, good hold, good kick every single time on an extra point.
There was only about one of them in the regular season. Keep in mind in that situation of a misconvert, as that one batted down by Robinson on the fire drill to keep it 23-0. You see some of the discussion, and you can even see Coach O'Shaughnessy is wondering what happened there.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if he's talking about the touchdown pass or if he's talking about the extra point, but either way, I think that was more on Michael. I think that ball was maybe a little to his inside, but the cold hands, having to catch it, might have been a factor.
Yeah, especially with this being one of the coldest days of the year. As you see some of the players having to take the breath. Keep in mind the ball has just fallen off the tee. That's part of the delay here as you see Thomas Robinson amongst those preparing for this kickoff.
And now Jake has the win, and he has a strong enough leg to drive this deep into the end zone and possibly make up that single.
The longest he has had a kickoff for today, or this season, 93 yards. This time it only gets to about the 10-yard line. Taken now towards the left. Finding a little bit of space. Gilbert Thiebaud still moving forward, now brought down close to the 35. Solid pickup of about 25 on the return.
Yeah, nice return. A little bit late with some of the coverage, a little breakdown in the lane assignments as he worked up the right hash and then turned his shoulders and went up the left hash and found a little bit of a seam there. So whenever you see two Fratmen cover men on top of each other, that means one person ran outside their lane, and that results in a little bit of a seam, which opened up for a short return to the 35.
So 1st and 10 now at the 35. Lots of players moving around on both sides. Multiple flags popping up all over the place. You had defenders scrambling to get to the line of scrimmage. You had 3 wide receivers back and forth and nearly stepping on each other before the flags.
Yeah. The refs are talking right now. One's pointing at the defense. One was pointing at the offense. I think it's going to be likely against the defense, but we'll wait for the call.
Illegal procedure. Quinte, number 50, 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Yeah, it's an illegal procedure. It could have been a snap infraction. The center may have moved the ball, and that resulted in the movement, but then he had an errant snap as he double clutched it. Didn't really see that because there's too many bodies breaching the line of scrimmage there.
And you see one of the players here on the sideline from the defensive side. Before today's game, the Bill Rest Community Service Award was awarded to Jacoby Dillon of the Quinte Skyhawks, who for the past 4 years, while playing varsity, high school, and now junior football, had been volunteering his time running and coaching the adaptives and special needs football program in the community, where every Monday night in the fall, you would find him on the field encouraging, supporting, and making every
time count violation.
Feel like a storm.
Quinte, number 4, 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
A penalty, meanwhile, on the field moves back the ball to 1st and 15. But he got a lot of love from the community, including from OFC officials and his team president, for his commitment to the Skyhawks adaptive community and his passion to make sure everyone feels accepted and loved no matter what their disability is truly inspiring, as was said by the team's president, Peter Gabriel, earlier today.
Yeah, and that's tremendous, Justin. A young man like that giving an opportunity to anyone who loves the game of football. It doesn't matter. You call it adaptive. Yes, you adjust the game, and you find out what abilities the students or the players do have, and you let them play football. This is a game for everybody, and the fact that this young man provided an opportunity to others to play a game he loves is tremendous.
By the way, first and 20, you should say, on the initial snap. Now second and 15 now, as a result of the quick pickup you see here, as a result of the throw after all of that. But that's one of the main senses to keep in mind when it comes to Quinte with their season, is the connection with the community, but also with the partnerships they've had. Now, for second and 15, they look to try and throw it, instead intercepted. Picked off by Brendan McDougall. McDougall has some running room, brought down around the 4-yard line.
Yeah, he's an all-star for a reason. He is so ball aware for a linebacker safety. I know they called him a defensive back all-star. He's ball aware. He's at the line of scrimmage. He's back off. He'll rush the passer. He'll find the way, and he's got some good ball skills. He was just dragged down at the last second by number 74.
Matt Thorne.
And Matt Thorne saved the tackle, and McDougall is so upset at himself that he got tackled by an offensive lineman, and there was no pick six for him. But the Fratmen are now set up in an end goal at the 4-yard line, looking to extend what's already a 23-0 lead.
And you see how pumped up they are, even going with the dances, too. McDougall, Krug, Allen, Hatterson, amongst those defensive wides who are all-stars. Meanwhile, on the offense, Savoni tries to rush it forward. Touchdown, Fratmen.
Yeah, this young man has had a nose for the end zone all year long. He is a man amongst boys the way he's been running the ball this year. Lead block, just piled one in and reached for the end zone. What a tremendous season he's had, and he's extending now into the playoffs with 2 touchdowns today already.
It's been a very stellar matchup so far for him. Here's the look once more.
Just a power play. You're just doing a lead-off tackle. You get blockers, and he snipes over the one guy, dives over him, and reaches the ball over. There are no challenges here, but we do have the extra point coming. Let's see if we can execute this one.
So that extra point coming up very quickly is good. 30-0 Fratmen. The Elephants continuing to build up. By the way, in the regular season, 17 interceptions from the defense for the Fratmen. Picking up a couple now in this matchup as you take a look at the man who got the interception, McDougall, once more.
Yeah, a great play by him. And you know what? As crazy as it sounds, Quinte hasn't played terribly and already find themselves 30-0 with 11.5 minutes left in this opening half. The story is sort of scripting out the same as the regular season. The Fratmen scored over 120 in the combined matchup, and they're on pace for a little bit more than that, obviously, with 30 points and 11:32 in the opening half remaining. But Quinte hasn't played terribly. Last couple times, it was a little bit of a real mismatch. This one here, Quinte's had some chances. They just haven't capitalized off of them.
So Hallway now setting up for the kickoff here, as the last of the personnel are being rushed onto the field from Quinte's side. But an intriguing start to this one, but an explosive one, offense-wise. As the last of the personnel gets all set up here, plenty of fans have made the trek to Acumen Stadium to embrace the cold. Plenty underneath their blankets this evening, as off and away goes the kick. And this bounces off the hands of the returner. Picked up in the end zone. Brought down to the 7. Whistles now blow after the misexecution. A couple players are locked together and shoving off the ball now. And now some are getting pulled away. That's up towards the top part of your screens. So what's happening there?
Just playoff football, Justin. A little bit of a heated battle there. Now, This was mishandled. I guess sometimes you panic, and the ball was brought out to the 6-yard line. The return man probably should have taken a knee. It would not have been a safety. It still would have been a single because he mishandled it off the get-go. There was not a willful intent. He didn't bring the ball into the end zone, so he could have taken a knee, given up the single, and got the ball at the 35. As you see, the special teams player of the week.
I believe that's more so towards the reference of Cody Holmes, who also just so happened to win Offensive Player of the Week for OFC and CGFL action with 4 receptions, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, setting things up, 1st and 10, ball marked officially at the 8-yard line now for the start of this drive. Stevens quickly throwing, complete, brought down just past the 15. The ball squeaks out after the whistles. So a pickup of about 7 or 8 makes it 2nd and 2.
And that's been their successful plays, those quick little hooks to whoever the open receiver. And in this case scenario, you pick up 8 yards, forward progress was stopped. So when the ball came out, the whistle had already been blown.
Exactly.
So there was no subsequent fumble. But this is the down they have to keep themselves in. And again, if they can mount maybe one good drive here, 5, 6, 7 minutes off and score, the mountain is quite steep right now, but it's not insurmountable if they can get some momentum.
Approaching 5 minutes into the 2nd quarter here on We Digital. Electing to go to the run game. Picks up a few, but enough for a 1st down. This time it's Jake Beal who gets the handoff.
Yeah, and this is flat out straight 1st down type run, and you get Allen who comes in and he helps on the tackle there as he finishes up. And the Fratmen are more than comfortable giving up those 4 or 5 yard gains right now. They do not want anything explosive, but the defense adjusted early. They are not going to give you anything over the top, it looks like. You're going to have to dunk and dink and pick up 5, 6, 7 at a time.
That's all continuing to be set up for 1st and 10 now at the 20-yard line. Moving on forward, brought down around the 27 after the quick pickup there. Meanwhile, an out-of-town score for the other semifinal matchup has just been forwarded in. The London Beefeaters have defeated the Hamilton Hurricanes 24-0 to advance to the OFC Championship game, meaning the winner of this matchup will now take on London in a week's time.
So if it's Quinte, they'll go to London. If it's the Frat, London will come here to Acumen Stadium for the final.
So that's an important thing to consider now. Now, for 2nd and 3, quickly stuffed in the backfield for a loss of 1.
Yeah, that's Jordan Krug again. He was able to just beat his defender flush off the ball, and you'll see this little rip move. He gets underneath his offensive tackle, meets the ball carrier in the backfield. They don't care about Stevens right now. They are not going to him whatsoever. So on those option-type plays, they're all collapsing to the running back. I would rather see them get under center and downhill run if they're going to commit to the run, because that's not going to work.
And part of that discussion, too, was referring to earlier. He mentioned he needed to know, Jordan Krug, what's going on the field so he doesn't feel trapped, and he's been able to break out of any traps that he's been in tonight, it seems.
Yeah, well, if he's going to be one-on-one on the edge, he's quick enough to beat most offensive tackles, and when they move him inside...
And that's critical, yes. Punted away, meanwhile, and it bounces off a coach's left hand and out of play.
Yeah, so the Fratmen are going to have the ball probably right around the 47-yard line going in. So, as it turns out, great field position for the Fratmen. Don't be surprised if you see a shot to Cody Holmes here. Cody's been blocking. He's been doing all the little things. This whole year, he has seemed to be completely selfless, if you will. He's taken advantage of his shots, but he's working for his teammates as well. I'd love to see that, but don't be surprised if you see number 8 targeted right now, because he has been working his tail off all year long, and in this game as well. If he gets a favorable matchup, watch out for number 8.
Holmes is setting up as one of the men in motion here for 1st and 10 of the 47. Beal, lots of pressure in the backfield, tries to shovel pass it, but he was down on his knees already. The pressure came quickly from Craig Gonsalves. And Gonsalves able to pick up what will add to his 6 sacks from the regular season.
Oh, what an outstanding play from him. He just washes the offensive tackle's hands. And yes,
Offside.
you can see in the replay
Quinte
there,
number 19.
Michael's knee was
5-yard
down,
penalty.
but regardless,
Repeat
that's
first
an
down.
ill-advised pass. You do not want to throw it. Looked like they were trying to set up some sort of screen, but Gonzalez just absolutely crushed. However, Justin, there was a penalty on the play.
Yep.
It's going to turn into a 1st and 5.
And here's the thing. That was just forwarded towards my direction. If that stood, Badi, that would have been the first sack on Beal the whole season. It's what we've been told.
Well, it's not.
Instead, it's 1st and 5. And now, multiple flags jump again at the line.
Yeah, a nice change of pace here. First time I've seen it this game where the offense decided to go on a hard count, and they got a free 5. So that's 2 straight penalties. Going to turn into a 1st down. Here we go with the call.
Offside. Quinte number 64. 5-yard penalty results in a 1st down.
Defensive offside.
And look at the hard count here, and then you'll see multiple players jump, and that is indeed the case. And Jennings, the center, once he sees one guy cross, snaps it right away. Dead play. Contact was made. Neutral zone infraction, and a offsides resulting in the 1st.
So it's Balthazar, who was the first to jump we've seen there, by the way. Now at the 37, handing things off to Savoni for 1st and 10. Savoni pushed ahead to around the 26. That's also enough to move the chains down.
Yeah, and based on what my discussion with Coach LaChance was earlier, like they wanted to try to get Jacob going, and not that it's a surprise, he is a talented ball carrier, but he's been bottled up by this team, and he probably has as many or more yards today in this first quarter and a half as he had the entire game the last time they played. Good run, good blocking. It's going to bring up a 2nd down or actually it was a 1st down run.
Yes, indeed. So 1st and 10 at the 26. Again, Vokes has been brought in as the back now, so Vokes getting some work. Vokes going for the stop, the push. Moved up to around the 20-yard line. Pick up about 6 to make it 2nd and 4.
Yeah, that was number 30, Cornelius Brown Jr., who sniffed that out. He did not buy any kind of counteraction. You'll see at the top of the screen it's going to be number 30, who scrapes over the top of everything and beats Vokes to the corner and then ends up forcing him back inside and making the tackle right there. And that is indeed the person who slowed down the rush, limiting that to what was still a good gain of 6 yards.
Approaching 6 minutes to go in the 2nd quarter. High formation still. This time, play action. Beal looking to throw from the motion, complete inside the 5. Darting in towards the end zone. Touchdown, Fratmen, Hayes Williams again.
We haven't really seen a lot of this. Michael Beal did a little bit of a semi-roll. And then you see Hayes Williams as they're going to take a little bit of a picture for the camera. And we see the crowd who's all excited now. The green and gold is clapping their way through. But Michael does a little bit of a semi-roll off of play action. Decent protection. He attacks the line of scrimmage. And he finds Hayes Williams, who settled into the soft zone. Makes one guy miss. Extends the ball out for a touchdown. And that's extending the lead to 36 with the ensuing extra point.
So that extends the gap once more with another touchdown reception for Hayes Williams. Hallway. Up. Good. That expands the gap and more so here at Acumen Stadium as you take a look at some of the fans once more here in the grandstands. Approaching 6 minutes to go in the 1st half. Here's one more look at the pass.
Yeah, and again, they probably surprised a few people because Michael doesn't really do any of these bootlegs or sort of run-outs. And again, Jared Hayes Williams made himself available. Made himself nice and big in that sort of B-seam hook curl area. Perfect throw, make one guy miss, extend for the touchdown. That's his 2nd of the game as well.
A good game for Hayes Williams, good game for Savoni, and now the Fratmen lead 37-0. Now, one of the main things that is part of the festivities tonight here at the stadium, it's worth noting, is at halftime there is a ceremony being planned for the 1999 Fratmen team, a team you know a lot about.
I do, Justin. I was fortunate enough to be on the coaching staff along with Coach Mike LaChance, who was the receivers coach. Coach Stacy Norton was the defensive backs coach. Coach James Rice, who's currently the O-line coach, was O-line coach with me as well on that very team. Well, we only had 37 active players on that team. We went undefeated, had a season much similar to this in terms of the regular season. We beat everyone 40, 50, 60 points a game. I think we won the conference final that year, 63-0 against Burlington, and we hosted the Canadian Bowl.
And meanwhile, there was a squib kick that has led to another scramble. Quickly picked up and brought down once more. So a bit of craziness there for DeShane, who was the one who picked it up off the bounce. Rutherford with the tackle.
Yeah, and that one, unlike the one that Dante Lewis got where it was a perfect basketball bounce, this one here started turning sideways because of that oblong nature of this football, and he mishandled it, scored it through his hands, and anytime you have to retreat, your coverage is going to start collapsing a little bit, and Quinte is going to be pinned inside their own 20 once again to start this drive.
Ball spotted at the 14-yard line. Now they'll set things up, approaching 5 minutes to go in the first half. Right back sent off towards the motion. Off to throw Stevens. Stevens floating it up. The play, bobbled out and scored it out, incomplete. Intended once more for Robbins.
Again, another missed opportunity. You don't get many of them, and if you do have one, you got to squeeze this ball. It's got to be caught. It was in his hands. He was going down to the ground. But it was one that I know the young man, he admittedly will say he should have had it. But you can't. You're playing Goliath. You have to.
Coming up, the halftime report with Dom Papa. Be sure to tune in as Jim Henkovic from the CGFL will be joining Dom Papa during halftime.
Yeah, he's the current commissioner of the league.
Very noteworthy to be able to listen in for that one. Meanwhile, on the play, 2nd and 10, the running play leads to a 3rd and 4. So a pickup of about 6 on that rush there.
Yeah, and I think he was trying to take advantage of an ultra-aggressive defense, but with them only bringing 4, you were able to keep some linebackers to sit back and negate any kind of long run, especially when you need the full 10. It's not a good situation to be in 2nd and long against this very aggressive and very fast Fratmen team.
So they are going for it here. 4 receivers on the field for this one. Electing throw, Stevens, the quick play towards the back. Brought around towards the 26. A flag is down on the near side of the field. All well, Gilbert Thibault is brought down quickly. Again, a flag is down at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and it was thrown right away, so that's either going to be somebody was aligned offside, but it looks like they had enough for a first down. Either way, if it is against the Fratmen, it's going to be a first down for the visitors.
Here it comes.
Thank you. Illegal procedure. Quinte number 58, no end. 5-yard penalty, complete 3rd down.
And that was no end, so that was an alignment issue. Number 58, the right tackle, was the end man on the line of scrimmage for the offense, and he has to be covered up, and now that's going to force them to punt. And they got the first down. Those kind of mistakes, they'll have to learn from. Again, Quinte won 2 games this year in the regular season. They made the playoffs. They've established some community roots, as you've mentioned earlier, especially with the young man who won the Prest Award, and they're trying to rally around their team. So they'll use this as a learning experience, and the coaching staff seems committed to keeping this program here. But a mistake like that costs you big time. In this case, they're going to have to punt, which means you're likely going to see maybe a conceded safety again.
And some whistles blowing because there's some miscommunication coming from the Fratmen side. They have sent one of their players back and forth.
St.Clair.
Yeah, they called a timeout, Justin. It looked like Nash Preer was late coming out for the punt return team.
And then they brought him back in, and then they called the time to bring him back out.
Yeah, they could have run the play with 11 if they wanted to, but listen, you got 2 timeouts. The timeouts aren't going to be consequential, at least from the looks of it in this game. Get the right personnel on the field. Do not let anything happen compromising your players. You don't want to run the play with 11.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Connor Rafferty electing to run it back to the end zone. Now swirling it around. Now trying to take a lot of time here before he takes the kneel, so that burns an extra few seconds off the clock.
Yeah, and he understands that this is the hill just got a lot steeper. A few minutes ago it was 23-0, and now it's 39-0. So it is going to be virtually impossible. The Fratmen are going to get the ball back again here. If they kick to Dante Lewis, we could see another touchdown because that safety conceded is going to result in a kickoff into the wind here, Justin. So a probably good field position, plenty of time on the clock for them to strike again, and they are not going to take the pedal off the metal. It's still the first half.
Let's take a chance now to talk about some of the other teams that are battling in the CGFL, including the BCFC. This is a look at their standings. Your thoughts on how things played out? 7-1 for the top two teams in standings. Of note, the second of those two teams just so happened to be the opponent in 1999.
Yeah, Langley and Okanagan, I believe, play tomorrow. Unless they're playing right now currently. They're playing right now. I'm getting word they are playing right now. So that, again, Okanagan, in my years coaching, I remember we played them 2 or 3 times, and they are always a team out there. Langley has been a solid team. Out west, they do have some very talented football players, unquestionably.
Meanwhile, on the kickoff, it goes right up to the up men at around the 48-yard line.
Very alert, very alert. They tried a little bit of a hard squib, maybe getting one of the up guys out of position, and that was number 48, Everett Van Laer. And let me say this, that is one of my favorite football players from my high school. I coached him and his 2 brothers. The family's been great, and Everett was very alert. Smart football player, made sure he secured the ball, and the Fratmen have great field position.
So 1st and 10 at the 48-yard line, quickly approaching the 3-minute warning for first half action. Beal setting things up for the I formation. A lot of I formation tonight shown from the Fratmen. 2 receivers in the motion this time. Beal looking to throw. He wants a man, and it's wide open. Hayes Williams in. Touchdown. Fratmen, his 3rd reception for a touchdown.
Yeah, the defense got confused. They both jumped the under, and Hayes Williams went over, and that was just too easy. And I mean, you do catch them sleeping here. Cody Holmes drew so much attention, and it was unbelievable how he drew everything there. He's not even catching the ball, and he's making plays for his teammate. And we're just getting a report right now. The Cullen final, the Cullen Cup out west is a final now with the Langley Rams winning 7-4. And that must have been obviously a defensive battle.
Absolutely. The potential scoregami as the Fratmen celebrate their own score here. Now 46-0 after the extra point. What a day for Hayes Williams. In the regular season, he had just 5 touchdown receptions.
Well, just is not. It's 5. 5 in an 8-game season is a good number for a receiver. And the fact is, he added to that, but I am going to give all due. There's the guy right there. Cody Holmes drew so much attention to that, and you see the receiving core there. These guys are playing for each other, and it's nice to see that they're taking joy in their teammates' performances. And Cody Holmes drew all kinds of coverage underneath there, and now we see the Prairie Conference.
And this is one with interest for me, too, Badia, because among the undefeated teams, you have Regina and the Thunder 8-0 in their regular season.
Yeah, Regina's having a tremendous year. And never count out Saskatoon. Saskatoon Hilltops are one of the class organizations in the Canadian Junior Football League. They have won a number of national championships. Unfortunately for me, my last game as a Fratman was in '96, and we lost to Saskatoon in that national final. So I really don't like them, but nonetheless, they are some very, very good teams, and the winner of this conference will be playing the Langley Rams.
So once again, that's a look at Prairie Conference standings, the Prairie Football Conference.
We have a conference going on here, Justin, and I'm not exactly 100% sure what the discussion is about. There is
and now Quinte's now making a conference here on their sideline too from this. What is going on here?
The coaches was huddling his players. They're talking about it, but I'm concerned with respect to the with the conference from the officials with Coach LaChance. They are discussing something, and I didn't pick up anything that happened from a flag perspective, unless they're discussing, I'm baffled actually. I'm very puzzled as to what this discussion is.
Quinte's players have just been moved out from their respective huddle with their coaching staff. Coach O'Shaughnessy is now completing their discussion.
So they must have just been informing him of something. I don't know if a player, like there was no flag, so there's not like an ejection or something along those concerns. Maybe they were talking about a potential clock situation. Maybe they were asking, and the Quinte suggested they run the clock at 46-0 right now. Quinte does have a long ride home, and I'm not saying they're waving the white flag, but there are potentially discussions that go along that. But I would have suspected that would have taken place at the half rather than with 3 minutes left in the first half.
So now, kickoff is just about ready after the conference. 3:20 to go in the first half. Two return men now set up. How will this one fare out this time? Oh, bounce past him. Deshane forced to kneel down, and another single.
And that was the right decision. You're not going to get that ball out. You know, it bounces between you, it goes sideways again, and you just take it at the 35. Give your offense a fighting chance.
You see right there, just kneels it on down after it bounces off the uprights.
It was close. That ball, if I'm not mistaken, needed to break entirely past the goal line in order for that to be a conceded safety.
Yes.
That was close. It was still on the stripe, so he was given the single.
So now the Quinte's offense looks to try and break on forward here. Last time they scored 13 points against the Fratmen in the last match of October the 9th. Now, three in the motion, just before the 3-minute warning. Starting off in the ground game and quickly brought down for a loss of a couple.
Again, I look at that play and I just see every Fratman defender converging on the running back, and Stevens is of no real threat. The run game's just not going to be there given that sort of setup.
Miskowicz, keep in mind in the regular season, we mentioned the average yards per carry, 72 carries, 166 yards in the regular season. That time the charge came in quickly from Allen and company.
Yeah, Allen and McDougall just converged on it, and they know Stevens isn't a genuine threat to run the ball.
So we're now inside the 30-minute warning here on We Digital for the first half of play. Looking to pass again. Stevens out of some pressure. It's picked off. Intercepted by Tanoa Alex. Alex brought down at around the 39-yard line. And another forced turnover.
Great ball skills by Alex. Great ball skills. He snagged that, and he had eyes on a bigger prize as he turned that up the field. And fortunately for Quinte, there was at least a receiver there to make a play and secure the tackle. But boy, this was excellent ball skills. He breaks on it, he undercuts the route, catches the ball, and cleanly catches the ball. And unfortunately for him, because I know he's looking for pay dirt, he is brought down, because if he can avoid that one tackle, he had a convoy up that home sideline.
So the interception brings back out the offense. Beal looking to throw for 1st and 10. This time batted down quickly and tapped out to make it 2nd down. Cooper with just his first target essentially of the day.
Yeah, and this was maybe a miscommunication. I think Michael wanted that route driven just a little deeper because it looked like he was throwing it more towards the sticks, and Marcus maybe broke it off a little sooner. But again, it is their first target of the day, so maybe that contributed to the mistiming of that hookup.
So 2nd and 10 to the 38. 2:28 to go in the first half now. Two receivers in the motion. Beal looking to throw again. This time batted down quickly. Incomplete. This time off the hands of Robinson.
Should have been an interception there. That was a bad decision. Bad. The coverage was just not there. No one went to Cody Holmes. So quite frankly, this ball should have been thrown to Cody Holmes in this case scenario. Instead, the coverage was over the top of that. Cody was taking so much attention early, he tried to force that to Dante Lewis, and it was Cody Holmes who was running that flat out that he should have been getting that. If you get that ball to Cody in the open space like that, pretty sure he's going to make some room. But they're going to try a 45-yard field goal.
Which would be the longest make of the season for Holloway if he does make this. His long was a 41 in the season finale. Kick is off and away, and it bounces off the front of the upright.
Yeah,
the Fratmen pick it up as it's waved no good.
Once it hits the upright and doesn't go through, it's a dead ball, Justin. So that ball's going to go to the 20-yard line. No points conceded, no harm, no foul. But this hits the left upright, doinks back into field of play, and that is a dead ball right there.
And you see a couple of the Fratmen quickly trying to respond just in case there. But either way, the attempt no good. The third miss by Holloway the season, field goal wise, 6 for 9 now.
Oh man, I stand corrected. It looks like it's going to the line of scrimmage,
which would be right from the attempt. Yes.
Yeah, I swear I thought if it hit the upright, unless that's just a punt, I could be mistaken.
Yes.
But I thought that was it's a dead ball on that case. It is dead because it hit the upright.
Either way, the halftime report with Don Papa is coming up. Conclusion of this 3-minute warning. That's now approaching 2 minutes to go. Quinte's offense back out quickly. Stevens quickly trying to throw this one, incomplete.
Well, he had to throw it because there was pressure in his face once again, but the receiver just could not hook up. That ball was thrown a little too high, and fortunately, it wasn't picked off because there was Holloway over the top of that. If that ball was thrown a little to the inside, you would have probably seen him make a aggressive play at the ball.
So that makes it 2nd and 10. Play clock now rolling. Once again, 5 wide receivers set for Quinte. 3 set in the motion once more. Stevens looking right. Throw towards the side. Squirts out. Incomplete. Intended for Josh Beal this time. That brings up 3rd down. The special teams units come out once again.
Yeah, and probably another ball that should have been caught. Hit the receiver in both hands, and he just was unable to corral it in, and he probably would have been right around the 1st down marker. Either way, if he catches it and they're short, they're going for it, or if it was a 1st down, they reset the sticks, but it falls incomplete once again, and I'm going to categorize that as like the 3rd drop of the game.
Couple critical ones today, and now once more back to work is Rafferty. Rafferty again having a backup. Rafferty able to boot it away. And this one, look out, nearly goes to the grandstands.
And this is the Dante Lewis effect. That's 2 consecutive punts that you see he's trying to angle out of bounds, which, again, I'm okay with because the Dante Lewis doesn't have a chance to return it for a touchdown. However, you would like it to go a little bit more than 12, 13-yard net gain from where the line of scrimmage once was. So I like the concept. I do not want to kick it to the all-star return man, but the Fratmen, with 1:40 and a timeout left, do have an opportunity to add to their lead, and I suspect they will try.
I formation once more. Beal, the quarterback. 4 wide receivers set once more. Holmes being brought back and forth. 4 on the play clock. Now they snap it, hand it off to Vokes. Vokes hit hard around the 46, brought down the 2nd attempt.
Yeah, nice tackle. Squared him up. That was number 30, Cornelius Brown Jr. again. You'll see here on the replay, they're going to bring the left tackle around on the little counter action. He patiently knifes under all of that and finds a square up tackle, and he brings him down to the ground, and that was a nice play, limiting that to 3 yards.
So 2nd down and 4 was the pickup total, so a 2nd and 6, should say, with a minute to go in the 2nd quarter. This time the jet sweep back off to Lewis. Lewis trying to push ahead. Brought down just shy of the 40. That's a few yards shy of a 1st down. 3rd down.
Yeah. And that time he tried to speed up, and in this case scenario, I would have liked to see him maybe the lead blocker, number 45, needs to just find a body, and he runs right past him. That needed to be a bigger play. Dante didn't have an opportunity to do anything. His lead blocker needed to execute that just a little bit better to give him a chance to get that first down.
And now it gets interesting. They'll go for it again, and this time, one of the players on the field who's setting up towards the outside of the offensive line is John Krug. Krug coming in for a huge block. Here comes the rush from Riem. Riem brought down at around the 38. And with the spot of the ball, that's enough to move the chains. First down.
Yeah, and you get some big boys in there, and you try to lead off tackle, and you got David there who's going to just work his way through. I'd like to see him run through that final tackle instead of turn his shoulders, deliver the blow, but nonetheless, they had enough for the first down, and they're probably going to have one or two more cracks at the end zone should they attempt with 25 seconds left in this opening half.
And that's already down to 20 seconds. Not a lot of time to work with. Now there's some miscommunication. They want the timeout here.
Yeah, they're missing a player. So right now they're looking at it and saying,
Timeout.
we got 11. Let's get the right player.
St.Clair.
They're going to bring Krug back in right now. So Beal, now you would have liked to maybe keep that timeout if you got a big play down the middle of the field to sort of give yourself a breather to set up the right play call. But either way, if you get a quick play here, you still get one more play if there is at least 1 second left on the game clock. And you see Jacob Savoni is leaving for this play here.
He was initially rushing back onto the field prior to the timeout there. And so, the ball spotted again at the 38-yard line. 47-0 Fratmen.
Yeah, and at 47, Justin, I'm not sure that Cody Holmes has touched the ball once yet. I don't know if he has a catch.
I was going to say that because
he has been an impact. He has made some blocks and drawn attention. So for a person who hasn't caught the ball, he has been a little bit of an impact here, and the score is 47-0.
Yeah, Hayes Williams has been the intended target for many of the passes tonight. We've seen one target for Marcus Cooper, none for Holmes. So this time they pass. This time it goes to Krug. Krug picks up a reception for a couple with 7 seconds left in the half.
Yeah, a little fullback out. He leaks out to the flats. A pretty good pass. He just didn't keep his balance. So you'll see him motion from the slot, and he's just going to leak out into the flat after they do an inside run fake. And Beal gets it on him, and the ball is thrown maybe just a little bit behind him, but he did catch it cleanly, and on his exchange to turn up the field, he lost his balance, and this is going to be the final play of the half.
Here's the buzzer sounding in the back draw. Krug, keep in mind his backup position is lined up as the fullback. They hand it off to Riem to close out the half. Ball rushed up to about the 25-yard line. That will do for halftime. 47-0 at the half for the Fratmen over Quinte. Stick around. Don Papa is standing by for the halftime report here on We Digital.
Did you know that the most severe injuries in our region are motor vehicle crashes? 65% of road fatalities last year were directly the result of distracted driving. 90% of injuries arriving in our emergency rooms are preventable. Our message to you this summer is, put down the phone. Just drive. Let's work together to keep our trauma stretchers empty.
Welcome back to Acumen Stadium. We kick into our halftime report. The St.Clair Fratmen leading overwhelmingly over the Quinte Skyhawks, 47-0 in this OFC semifinal game. As plugged on our broadcast, we have a very special guest here in attendance tonight. The commissioner of the entire Canadian Junior Football League is in town with us here this evening. He came in all the way from Edmonton, Alberta. Jim Pankovich is with us, and thanks for doing this with us, Commissioner. And nice to have you here at our new stadium. And just quick impressions of what you've seen here so far.
Oh, it's a wonderful facility. I got a chance to tour it yesterday. Right from everything that the players will on the field to the stands, the fans will have a great experience here. And underneath the stands, there's a lot of the dressing rooms and everything are first-class facilities. So St. Clair College did a great job of putting that together.
And, of course, it's possible that they could be hosting the Canadian Bowl here. We've got to include London. London did win the semifinal game against Hamilton earlier on today, so London's a place you have to look at as well, I'm sure. But when you're looking for a facility now, I mean, everything is growing. Everything's changed over the years. Now there's standards that want to be upheld, I'm sure, at the Canadian junior football level.
Right. No, this is an excellent facility. You know, it's perfect for the type of football we have and the community football that we represent. So, you know, if Windsor gets the opportunity to host the Canadian Bowl, this will be an excellent facility for both the players to participate in as well as the fans to be able to be here.
Yeah, it would be a great way to kick off the first year at this stadium, that's for sure. But I know if you talk to Coach LaChance, he'll say, you know what, we still have a half of football here to play, and then we got a game possibly next week against a very good London team. With all that said, let's talk about the Canadian Junior Football League if we can, Commissioner. And you know, you've got the Western Conference out west, you've got the Prairie Conference, and now you've got the OFC. How tough is it to bring them all three together, to work on the same page and make this thing work?
You know, I don't think it's that difficult. We all have the same goal. You know, it's really to provide opportunities for these young athletes to be able to participate in football and the community events that we do. So working together isn't a challenge. You know, there are some differences across the country in terms of what some of the challenges are. But as a group, you know, we've got really committed people, whether they're teams in the Ontario Conference, Prairie Conference, or in BC, and we're all committed to the same thing. So working together is actually something that we do quite well. It's been a bit of a challenge. We haven't been able to meet face-to-face for a couple of years. And we'll, again, hold our annual general meeting virtually this year. But we're looking forward to be able to get face-to-face meetings in 2022.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get everybody together again, that's for sure. You talk about the Western and the Prairie Conference, and those conferences are very strong. I mean, attendances are very good. The programs that are out there financially seem very solid. Here in Ontario, we've got a couple of programs struggling. They're hanging in there. What does Ontario have to do to maybe, I don't want to say catch up to those teams, because I think the Fratmen are there. I think London's there. Hamilton's been a good Ontario Conference team. But is there something in Ontario that maybe they do need to look at and maybe work like they do out west?
Yeah, I think that they're starting to do it, and that they're working together to be able to achieve some of these things. So, you know, to be able to take advantage of some of the opportunities. We've got some new stadiums and some new locations, even things like live streaming. You know, all of our teams out west actually do the live streaming, and we're working towards all of the teams in Ontario doing that. So the biggest thing is working together. We think we have really 6 solid organizations in Ontario that we'll continue to work with to get them better. We always have competitiveness on the field, but off the field we're working together quite well to be able to make sure that we can continue the continuity of the Canadian Junior Football League.
Of course, finance is always a big factor in you know how it all works. Every team needs money to work. We know that, and financially, everything's stable that way out west. We see teams getting supported very well. Financially, here in Ontario, it's a little bit different, a little bit tougher. And of course, with the recent pandemic and COVID and everything took a step back. But what shape is the CGFL in financially? Not to give us any details, but are you happy with it?
So, you know, coming out of 2020 with the pandemic, it was a challenge, and we wanted to make sure 2 things. One is that we were have the long-term future. We weren't going to sacrifice a individual team to be able to play in 2020, so we decided we were going to not play for both public health reasons as well as financial. But coming out of this, we knew 2021 was going to be a challenge financially just because of that year was off. But I have to say all of our teams worked really hard, and we're I don't know if we're back at the exact same level we were with the fundraising, but we're pretty darn close right across the board. It's something we have to work on every year, but coming out of this, I did see some excitement looking at the fans and the participation in the different communities across the country. I saw two things. One is the fans came back, and they came back quite strong, particularly in those early games where there seems to be a lot of pent-up demand for people getting out and to enjoy our product that we put on the field. And second of all, I've seen a lot of sponsors be able to step up and actually continue their sponsorship or see the value of the community programs that we do provide and be able to step in and provide that sponsorship. So what we're really going to be working on is how do we actually move that into 2022 into next year.
That's good news, Commissioner. That's a positive outlook and positive step for sure. What about the athlete experience itself? I mean, I think there's some great athletes on the field here tonight. I'm sure out west where you get to see a lot of your games, obviously they have tremendous football players there. What does the league offer to them, and how important is the league to these athletes to continue and continue going in a forward growth motion?
No, we think we provide a really good service to the communities that we operate in, both from the athletic perspective. There's two things. One is I think we provide the on-field, so giving the players a chance once they're finished high school or community football to then continue their football. And we've got great coaching, great training programs that are not just during the season, but most of our programs have off-season training programs as well to provide the athletes that. The second is the community involvement. That's something we really stress right across, and every one of our teams has community involvement that they get involved with and support throughout the year, and that's something that's really important that builds the character of the players, but it also increases the profile of the teams in their communities. So those are the types of things. And then a lot of our programs, very much like St. Clair College here, is that they're working together with their local universities or colleges to be able to provide athletes academic opportunities and in some cases scholarships as well. So we're providing a lot of, athletic opportunities, academic opportunities, as well as community involvement opportunities that any athlete that came and played with our teams would benefit from.
Can a player still come into the CJFL, Commissioner, and have aspirations of playing at the professional level? I've been covering this league for a long time. I don't want to say how many years. Some people probably tell me to get off the stage. But just the same, I can remember years ago where players were playing in this league, and there were CFL teams that were here. Even occasionally had an NFL team come by. Obviously, it took a back seat for a little while, but is that opportunity, do you think, still there, or can it get back to that?
Oh, I think so. Every year, we have a really good working relationship with the Canadian Football League, and also we have a good relationship with youth sports as well. Because a lot of our athletes, when they finish football here, some of it may be their last time they play football, or at least tackle football, but some of them they'll go on and play youth sports, some will go on and play the CFL. And every year we have players that attend the CFL combines. We have players that will graduate from our programs and go on to play youth sport programs. So we think we've got a good working relationship. And together with Football Canada, we really try and provide the development opportunities for those athletes as they come through. And we think we fill an important role in that development of those athletes.
One reason why I was excited to talk to you tonight, because you can fill us in a little bit about out west. I see the games occasionally on the streams, as you alluded to, but I don't get to watch a lot of it, unfortunately, because I'm busy with my own thing. But what can you tell us about out west and how the year has gone there? And I'm not going to ask you to tell us who's going to play in the Canadian Bowl, because you might get in trouble for that. But just the same, again, some quality teams out there.
No, I've seen quite a few games out west this year, and I think they're, again, competitive. I think all of our, we've got 18 teams right across the country, and the 6 in BC and the 6 on the prairies do a good job of putting their teams on the field. We heard tonight that Langley beat Okanagan in sounded like a very defensive struggle, 7-4 final. We've got the Prairie Conference final going tomorrow with Saskatoon in Regina, and we know that they've played 2 really close games during the regular season this year. And then we know we have the OFC final next weekend, and we know between London and Windsor, that's going to be a rivalry game, and then we know that's going to be a hard-fought game. So, we think we had some really competitive games right across the board, as they are every year, and we're looking forward to, we've got basically the ending of the playoffs, all leading up to our Canadian Bowl on December 4th.
And I'm glad you said next week, London Fratmen, even though the game's not over. But that might get us a little bit. But it's all good. We like the way you think here, Commissioner. To put a Canadian Bowl on, let's quickly talk about that. The teams are getting back out. We'll get back to football action. But the Canadian Bowl, obviously the marquee event for the CJFL, and putting it together, coordinating. You're here, 3 weeks before this is even going to happen, if indeed it even happens here in Windsor. So obviously there's a lot of pre-planning, a lot of legwork that is put in to put this thing together and make it, the game that it is.
Yeah, we have a bit of a formula that we work with the teams on, and we use a host team hosting the Canadian Bowl format. But you're right, there's a lot of work that goes on in the background, both from the Canadian Junior Football League executive to the team representatives. So we've been holding regular teleconferences with the teams over the course of the last number of weeks to organize both our national semifinal, which will be held in Langley next weekend, but the Canadian Bowl on December 4th. So a lot of effort goes in by the volunteers that are with our local organizing committees, and they deserve most of the credit for putting on those games.
Very important to have that backbone there to help out with everything. You've been at this for a while, eight or 9 years?
Yes, I've been involved with junior football for a long time, but at the CJFL level for about 8 or 9 years, and really enjoy it. It's a wonderful organization to be involved with, and we see a lot of passionate people across the country that are involved with the teams.
You've been doing a great job, Commissioner, and certainly we're very excited to have you here in our city, and hopefully we get to see you back here, December 4th. That would be really nice, but congrats on everything you've accomplished, and thanks for sticking by this, because we need stuff like this for our young athletes, for communities, like you said. So your leadership has been outstanding up to this point, and continued success to you, okay?
Thank you very much. Always enjoy coming to games here.
That is the Commissioner of the CJFL, Jim Pankovich, visiting Windsor, checking the facility out. He likes it, folks, so it's a good thing. The two teams have entered back onto the field. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, it's the call of the second half. You're watching the OFC semifinal between the St.Clair Fratmen and the Quinte Skyhawks on We Digital Productions. Welcome back to Windsor, Ontario for more coverage of OFC football as the semifinals as they get ready for the start of the second half. Justin Prince-Medique was with you after what was a dominant first half of play for the Fratmen. You had a very busy halftime, we'll say, though. As mentioned, there was that ceremony with the 1999 team. You're amongst those taking part in that ceremony, Badi.
Yeah, Justin, it was nice to see. There was a handful of players and a few coaches that were there, and everything went relatively smooth and well. It was nice to see some of the guys and how they connected. And we're going to run into some more people because apparently they're all gathered. Some are still in the parking lot doing some celebration and tailgating.
Yes, indeed. And as we turn things up towards Boothside in just a moment or so, when it comes to tonight, your thoughts on how things could play out for this second half now here, especially with the significance of tonight's game and how this has turned out after the strong second quarter, especially for the Fratmen.
Yeah, the Fratmen actually played fantastic in the second half, a quarter, and all facets were clicking, offense, defense, and special teams. Early on, Justin, there wasn't a tremendous amount of offensive success early on, but the defensive special teams really picked it up. And I suspect that you're going to see some backups in, and you're going to see some different things going on in the second half. Bottom line right now, it's all about health. You have the London Beefeaters coming here next week. You have to be healthy. You have to be ready and firing on all cylinders. I suspect you won't see Jacob Savoni, even Cody Holmes, who I don't think even touched the ball yet. I don't see him getting too many more. Michael Beal probably might get one more series, and then he's done. It's imperative that they keep healthy.
Absolutely, and some of those discussions just being wrapped up now, field side, after what was a strong first half of play for St. Clair. They will be amongst those preparing here for the start of this second half of play, and it appears, remember it was initially Quinte who returned to start the first half. It appears that they have brought out the kicking team to start the second half now for the Fratmen too.
Yeah, Justin, in Canada, it's not always, you don't always have to receive. You have the option to defend an end. So it looks like the Fratmen want to have the win in the fourth quarter. So they opted to defend the end, which means Quinte chose the ball. And that's why we're seeing a second consecutive kickoff to open up, this case, the half rather than the start of the game.
And one of the first times we've seen that in the past couple years. Fratmen football is off and away we go for the start of the second half. Return from inside the 10-yard line. Trying to find some space this time. Gilbert Thibault. Thibault towards the side. Knocked out of bounds at around the 35-40-yard line. Another solid return from the Skyhawks.
Yeah, a real good return. He was able to catch the ball cleanly, and he was able to get some momentum going towards his near sideline, his home sideline. So once he turned and he went, he had a lane. He just had to beat one guy to the edge, and that indeed happened. So a little bit of contained work to do, but a 34-yard start is always a pretty good field position to start an offensive possession.
So we'll see how the second half of play goes. Stevens still in at quarterback here to start off this drive. Running back is DeShane for the first snap of the quarter. Three in the motion, looking past Stevens. Quickly left up, caught by David Ross. Brought down after the pickup. Now move it around 5 yards. Make it 6 on the reception.
Yeah, and that's how they opened up the game. They opened up with just a few hook routes, find the open receiver, make it second and manageable, which is indeed what we're seeing right now. It's second down and 4 yards. So for them, they're not looking at winning the game. I think Quinte's looking at showing they can play football. And I think they're trying to build on for next season and make sure that they have a positive feel going into next season.
Already just about 2 minutes into the third quarter. They want the long ball again. This time incomplete, intended for Ross. Patterson amongst the coverage.
Yeah, and they had a shot. I just think I would have liked to see maybe more separation from the two receivers. They had two receivers running up pretty much the numbers, and they only turned out to be about 4 yards apart from each other, and you see them as they come into the screen here. And that means one defender can sort of come off and cover both. And that looked like the corner who came off and was able to cover both. And that's a little bit of a concern. So maybe you'll get some film work in and you'll just wrap things up at your year-end sort of team meeting and grading, and you'll just explain to them, hey, we got to maintain some position on the field.
Looking to throw quickly, third down meanwhile, electing to go for it once more. This time getting enough for the first down. A quick little pass that time to Josh Beal, second reception for him.
Yeah, and they have a tight end type body who is going to just do a little bit of a delayed release here. And the ball was thrown on schedule and was able to turn it up the field and get the first down here. So much like the opening drive, they got a first down. This time they got another first down here if they can mount a couple first downs. And yes, the Fratmen do indeed have. I do see that there are several new defenders out on the field, which is fine, exactly what you want to see. But you make sure that you still execute if you're an offense, and make sure you still execute if you're the new defense.
First and 10 now from the 51. Meanwhile, nearly picked off, instead picked up the field. Baronet brought down just past the 30, make it around the 30.
Yeah, that looked like it was number 20 who made a jump on the ball.
Dalmas Lynch.
Yes, and Dalmas Lynch came up just a little bit short here as we see the replay. He came off from his high safety and just outside of his reach, and then the completion happened. Jake Holloway misses the tackle, and they're able to turn it into a big gainer, and now they're at the 35-yard line.
So they do mark it down indeed at the 35. Now setting things up for first and 10. Floated up towards the sideline, incomplete. That brings up a quick second down.
Yeah, and if there was an opportunity to sort of maybe scan the field a little bit for Stevens, he had his left slot going up the seam all by himself there, but it looked like he had his mindset that he was running that out or throwing the out, and unfortunately it fell incomplete.
Jennifer Robbins there. So 2nd and 10 to the 35-yard line, approaching 5 minutes into the third. Keep in mind, running clock is in effect here for the second half of the semifinal matchup now, it appears. Some communication amongst the players. They'll still have plenty of time on the play clock. 13 to work with here to set this up. 3 in the motion. Stevens has it batted down, incomplete, 3rd down.
Yeah, nice play by 46. Everett Van Laer was able to get some pressure as we see some of the cheering fans braving the elements and staying here to support the home squad. But that was 46, Everett Van Laer, who got his hands up on his rush, was able to bat the ball down, and you'll see him coming right from the quarterback's right side, gets his hand up, left hand bats the ball down, gets a pass breakup, and that's going to bring up a field goal attempt from what looks like 42 yards with the wind.
So they will attempt to drain this one from very far out, but keep in mind, Rafferty, 9 for 12 this season. But here's the interesting thing, the long 50 yards. So they've hit longer. In fact, that's the longest mark recorded this season. Off and away, and it's going. And the shutout is broken.
Yeah, good mechanics all around there. That left-footed kicker had plenty of leg there. 2 steps, drives the ball, no, not even close to being blocked, and he comfortably kicked that through the uprights. My guess is that probably would have been good from as much as 52, 53 yards, because that ball landed, well, at least 15 yards deep in the end zone where it was caught by the would-be Fratmen returner.
And now it's 47-3 as a result of the made field goal. 9:30 to go in the third. Clock now being signaled to start rolling here as a result here. So Quinte is now on the board.
And unlike games past and all season long where anytime there was the option to force a team to kick off, the Fratmen have exercised that option. This time they opted to scrimmage at the 35 after the made field goal.
So now they set things up in turn because of that with the backup quarterback now in. Daniel Mayu. Dan Mayu sets up I formation, and a few players jumped one of the offensive linemen, quickly leaping up Taylor Briggs.
Yeah, and they do have a few substitutes in there on the offensive line. I can count at least 4 from the looks of it, and they have an entire backfield. And yeah, you see the call there. I apologize for speaking over Chris Patton. At this point in time, the backups need to prove to their coaches moving forward, like, hey, we know the snap count, we know what we're doing. You clearly see that he false started and he moved early. You get your chance to play, you got to play properly.
So he's set up at the right tackle spot. Meanwhile, 4 wide receivers set up for 1st and 15. 2 in the motion. Go to the ground game. Rio finds a hole. Down the side. Pushes ahead around center field for a big pickup for the first.
Yeah, nice blocking up front. Nice run. And they pick up a lot of yards there. They completely collapse that side of the line of scrimmage with a turnout block, a lead block on the ISO. Cornelius Brown is unable to take on the lead blocker and make the play. And David Riem was able to fight forward across to the midfield stripe and just get into the Quinte territory.
So now, once more, the Fratmen set up inside Skyhawks territory at the 54, approaching halfway through the third quarter. 2 in the motion, handed back off to Riem. Riem again trying to cut right. Riem again bouncing outside. This time stopped short of a first down, tackled around the 46. 2nd and 2.
Yeah, counter play. Down blocks were there. David followed his lead blocks and was able to pick up a good 7-8 yards, bringing up 2nd down and short. I suspect they're going to try to lean on him. You'll see here on the replay. Once you get the guard and tackle who are able to now pull and kick and wheel up the field, it makes that exchange just a lot smoother, and the running back can get ahead of steam going forward. And as you see coming into the play, it is Cornelius Brown Jr. and number 66 for Quinte making the cleanup tackle.
2nd time we mentioned 66 tonight. Keep in mind, rush on forward, meanwhile, gets it up for a first down from second down. So Riam picking up about 4 or 5 to move the chains once more.
Yeah, and if I'm a backup offensive lineman, this is an ideal situation for me. I don't want to come in and pass block. I want to go in and hit somebody. So they're actually leaning on some people. Yeah, it's not perfect. They missed a couple short assignments. But guess what? You're firing off. You want to engage. It's good film work. It's good things that you can see moving forward, and the coaches will break that down. And hopefully these are young prospects for next year as well.
And several jump ahead this time as flags go flying once more. So at least 2 or 3 players seem to jump up there. We'll see which way is signaled. Again, the referee tonight, Chris Patton.
Procedure. Sorry, offside. St. Clair, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
So 2 fouls. An offensive lineman must have moved early, and it looked like the right tackle again is rolling out of his stance just a little bit, and we'll see it in the camera. There you go. And you had a receiver on the outside of him also move offside, so that's going to take both into account. They can only accept the 1 penalty. Nonetheless, it's going to bring up a 1st and 15.
So 1st and 15, second penalty this drive from around that offensive line. This time handed off to Riam once again. Moved up close to the original line of scrimmage, a pickup of a couple to make it 2nd and long. But I want to loop back towards what you're referring to before that penalty there in terms of the future. You see the play there. A lot of the big critical players are amongst the graduating seniors, as referenced in the last game of the regular season last week. Plenty of the players you see here could be amongst who you see for next year.
No question, and this is the kind of experience you need them to develop and have a sustained program.
Exactly. And another one. One of the receivers was already past the line of scrimmage. Several flags popping up again.
Yeah, just completely out of sync. I had number 63 on the offensive line moving again, and that was Taylor Briggs.
And also seen Alex Stork crossing the line of scrimmage too, right before that. So there is that discussion there, would be the 3rd penalty potentially. Yes, indeed, will be towards the Fratmen.
Illegal procedure. Number 63, St. Clair. It's a 5-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
Yeah, it looked like they called it on Briggs again, number 63. And, here's our standings. We know that that's the case. We know that the Fratmen are obviously the 8-0. We know it looks like, we know it's going to be London coming here next week to contest for the OFC championship.
The only 2 losses for London against St. Clair this season. Rushing this time on 2nd and very long. And it doesn't go anywhere. That makes it 3rd down.
Yeah, and that was number 19, Gonsalves. And he has impressed me immensely from last year, or last time they played to this game. Yeah. He is extremely long, extremely athletic, plays very disciplined on the edge. He can set the edge, he can rush the passer, and he can come down and defend the run. Very impressed with his abilities, and it doesn't give me an age depth chart here, but what I will say is if this young man's back for a couple years, I suspect he's going to be a conference threat for years to come.
Under 30 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, punted away now by Hallway. This bounces around the 16, rolls its way around the return man and out inside the 10.
And that is a perfect kick. You angle it away, you get the ball bouncing, it's kicked outside the numbers, it turns over in your favor, and that's why you see this young man as the all-star punter as well as kicker. And this ball here just turns sideways, and the return man has no choice but to sort of follow it, and it goes out of bounds at the 6-7 yard line, and the Quinte Skyhawks are pinned deep in their own end.
So with the clock continuing to roll, now about 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. And still Stevens in as quarterback here. 5 wide receivers set once more. Setting up from the shotgun, looking to throw again. This time over the top, over the head of Patterson. The defender incomplete. And to quickly loop towards Billy Patterson, we mentioned him as part of those All-Stars as well, Badine. You'll see him as part of this coverage here. It was mentioned by Coach LaChance on Facebook, in fact, where he asked before the season, how could he become an All-Canadian? It was mentioned by Coach LaChance. Leading the OFC in your position group certainly helps.
No question. And I know Coach Norton was telling him, like, hey, why did you sink so much? That was an interception waiting for him to happen. He fell off his receiver perfectly and could have ran underneath that, but just lost track of the ball.
So 2nd and 10, meanwhile, now underway. Quickly on the ground, and quickly flags pop up in the midst of the tackle game.
Yeah, that's always in the area of maybe a head tackle or a face mask if it's on the defense, or it's a hold on the offense, but we'll get the call right now.
There were 3 or 4 different players huddled together.
Unnecessary roughness, face mask, St. Clair, 15-yard penalty, results in a first down.
Yeah, so that was indeed the call. We have a face mask. They run a little bit of a delayed draw inside, and clearly, yeah, that was no question. That was number 90 for the Frat, and I'll get you his number right now, Nico Herkin, and he literally turned that helmet sideways, so that was an easy call. That replay showed it perfectly clear. Great job by our crew giving us that look there, and that's going to give him a first down.
So now, as a result of the penalty, 1st and 10 at the 22-yard line, approaching the final plays of the third quarter here. Play clock is not rolling, now starting to roll. Keep an eye on this. The quick float, the quick rush up the field, the quick scamper down the sideline, marked down around the 50, and what started off as a 5-6 yard throw turns into a big completion.
Yeah, you break one tackle on the outside, and that was Billy Patterson who missed the tackle there, and you turn it up the field. You'll see here on the replay, he's just going to run that quick stop route right to the sidelines, comes back to the ball, and Billy Patterson does not use the sideline as leverage to his advantage there, and it forces Nash Prier to come across and force the tackle and out of bounds, but that's not until he picked up 20 yards after the catch.
So as a result of that, it's now 3 quarters down, 1 to go here on We Digital. 47-3 is the score, and Quinte is already quickly setting up to start off the 4th quarter to get that clock rolling here. So working in lightning quick pace as we've seen the past couple weeks here for Fratmen home games. So now, setting things up 1st and 10. Gonna pass once again, Stevens. A long throw, incomplete. Then it looked like once more for Robbins.
Yeah, and that was Billy Patterson who hit the ground there thinking, I should have had one there. He tried to break on it. The ball got away from Stevens. And you'll see as he comes through the screen there, he was just rifling over the top trying to reach out and dive for it, and it did not have just enough air underneath it for him to gather that in, bringing up that 2nd and long situation.
So 2nd and 10. Approaching 1 minute into the 4th quarter, 47-3. Taking things calmly here with the 5 wide receiver set. 3 in the motion, looking to throw. Stevens again, towards the side, poked up, incomplete.
Oh, Billy Patterson read that perfectly. And if it wasn't for the defender or the offensive player playing defender, that was Kyle Baronet, that would have been a pick 6. He actually impeded Billy Patterson Jr.'s progress to the ball, and it resulted in a pass breakup, but that could have been a pick 6, something that I know every defensive back in the league wants. And you'll see here on the replay that the break was right away, and Baronet had to play defense at this case. See how he grabs at the shoulder and wraps him up, doesn't allow him to make the play. So good defense from the receiver.
Once again, as per the pattern for the Skyhawks, they go for it on 3rd down. Looking to throw, Stevens off his back foot, and complete. Brought down inside the 35, back to Robbins.
Yeah, it looked like a little stop and go, maybe a little stuttering out, and then turned it up the field, and Billy got caught in the backfield. He does a little out from Robbins, and then he turns it up the field, and Billy Patterson took the bait on the out and gave up that leverage to the sideline, and the pass was completed over the top. Nice little drive here by Quinte.
So now 1st and 10 at the 32, one of their stronger offensive drives of the night now forming. This time, giving it off to the running back. Trying to kick ahead, brought down to around the 30-yard line on the handoff to Miskowicz for the first time in a while to him.
Yeah, nice convergence on the play from Raekwon Sewell and Everett Van Laer as the defensive line and linebacker, as they do the little delay draw, come back to it. Van Laer and Sewell combine to make the tackle and limit that to maybe a 2-yard gain.
So after the delay draw, it is marked down for 2nd and 8 at the 30. Approaching now, indeed, 3 minutes into the 4th quarter. Still 5 wide receiver set for this 2nd down snap. 4 sent in the motion. Stevens looking left again, looking up and intercepted. It's Billy Patterson Jr. Returning it past, now moving it back around to the 20. Still looping it around, brought down at the 20-yard line.
And he finally gets that interception he's been fighting for all game long, and that just kills that drive. Ball was severely underthrown, and that resulted in the interception. If that was actually thrown over the top, there was a chance, but a little bit of pressure on the quarterback's face, and he was not able to really put enough air into it. Not to mention, he was throwing it into the wind, and Billy Patterson was able to return this ball here, and you see all the guys turning up the field to try to get this thing all the way to the house, but to no avail.
And then you see he starts going the other direction on that as well before getting to the 20. And now, 4 minutes into the 4th quarter, the offense is back out on the field for the Fratmen. Starting off with an incompletion for Mayu to make it 2nd down immediately.
Yeah, and they had it, and the route just needed to be maybe a little sharper, and the throw needed maybe just a little bit more air to run under it, because that looked like it was Alex McClellan who broke open on that corner route. Just a little bit of a smash route, and he had it, but just too straight of a line. You needed just a little air underneath that, and maybe the the cold conditions, maybe Mayu just did not have enough of a feel on that ball to give it that touch pass it needed.
So 2nd and 10 now at the 20. Doing the motion. Looking to throw again. Working quickly. Same target. This time caught. Enough for a 1st down at around the 32.
Yeah, and this time they do connect, like you said, and it is a 1st down. And good pass, good timing of the pass, because it looked like McClellan was turning and the ball was on him. And that's what you want to see from a combination to a short little hook route where the ball is out. And you'll see here on the replay that Dan seems to know where he wants to go with it, gets on his back foot, his 3rd step, and drives it in there. And then the waiting receiver, the waiting hands of McClellan turns it into a 1st down.
So that pickup makes it 1st and 10 once again. Working quickly, Mayu. Passed off towards McClellan again. McClellan brought down at around the 37, 38-yard line is where they mark it down with a quick pass around. So that either way, 2nd down.
Yeah, what a great rundown by Cornelius Jr., number 30. He's a linebacker. He's set 7 yards on the middle of the field. He's got to run all the way across the field here and make this tackle, because there's blockers there, and you'll see number 30, who's the linebacker, run down and chase down a receiver. What a great effort, great play.
Quinte with a lot of great defensive talent, but there is a Quinte Skyhawk who is now being escorted to the sideline. That is Mackenzie Jacobs Dunford, who, remember the last time, had a very big play for the Skyhawks.
Yeah, he's the one who had the pick 6. I believe it was off that batted pass, and he was able to find the end zone for one of their scores last time.
So he now moves to the sideline. A very quiet night for him here in this postseason matchup. But it's now 2nd down and 2. Ball at the 39. This time 4 wide receiver set. The Fratmen have been staying in the I formation a majority of the night. This time going out to the ground game. Pushing ahead for a few.
Looks like there's a fumble.
And
there's
there are several
up.
scattering and screaming fumble. So now, who's got it? They say Fratmen.
So it is a first down. There was a little scrum at the bottom of that. So maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But the bottom line is a Fratmen player came up with the ball and reset the down. So here we got a run here, just a lead ISO. And it looks like folks cut it back, and it was, again, Billy Cornelius. And the ball did indeed come out. It was on the turf, and it looked like it bounced right back into the lap of Vokes.
And now it's 1st and 10 of the 44. Doing the motion. Mayu, quick throw, complete around the 52. Pushing ahead, trying to find some space. Carson Cleator brought down just past midfield.
And again, another tackle for Cornelius Brown Jr., number 30. I understand why the coaches were talking so highly of him. He covers a lot of ground, and this is a linebacker who dissected it right away, and then he's able to get all the way to the outside. He's working across the field and does indeed get in on the tackle. So just good hustle, good play all around, good completion as well for the Fratmen, as Dan Mayhew's finally getting a little bit of rhythm, because the last time out he didn't have such a good showing.
Mayhew, keep in mind, once those adding to the 7 total interceptions for the Fratmen offensively this season, as this one thrown deep down the field, incomplete, makes it 2nd down and 10 halfway through the 4th quarter.
Yeah, it looked like Gonzalez had pressure again in Mayhew's face, and he was unable to really step into this because the receiver was actually open. That was McClellan again, running up the seam. And as I'm getting tongue twisted, my lips are getting cold, Justin. My tongue is getting cold as I'm stuttering a little bit up here. But nonetheless, that was an opportunity missed for a couple guys who probably haven't found pay dirt this year.
So now that 2nd and 10 gets all set to go. Fairly tight coverage this time. Giant Little amongst those signaling for this defensive play as the pressure comes in for the sack. And Mayu brought down very quickly for a big loss.
Yeah, Berkeley, Banjalevic, and Gonzalez came in, and they just converged. They just met at the quarterback, and Mayu did not really have a chance to get anything going as he got to the height of his drop. The defenders were already there, and they're going to be forced to punt as we wind down under 6 minutes.
So Hallway in the special teams unit now comes out after what has been an adventurous past few punt situations for Quinte's returnman tonight. It's Hallway. Boots it away. Lower trajectory this time. Bounces past the returnman this time again. Ticehurst forced retreat back inside the 5. Flags are now down. Trying to cut across the 5, brought down. That may be a no yards possibly, but either way, not the way they wanted that to go again.
No question, it's going to be a no yards, Justin, but it's only going to be the 5-yard variety. If you're a kicking coach and you're a special teams coach, you're going to be okay with that. Bottom line is they didn't get much of a return anyway, and if it was tackled at the spot, it's only going to be 5 yards. We'll get the call from Chris Patton right now.
No yards. St. Clair, 5-yard penalty. First down.
There's the call from Chris Patton. As you see, the tablets are out still on the sideline as they look at what happened on that sack play that happened just a moments ago.
Yeah, the offensive line are going to look at it, and you see the coaches are going to say, okay, hey guys, this is where it converged. We have to identify who we're blocking, who our assignment is, and if the running back is involved in the protection scheme. Now, that to me just looked like 2 offensive linemen flat out whiffed, and the defensive lineman won that individual battle.
And you've seen the reaction, too, from one of the coaches from that as well. Meanwhile, rushing on 1st and 10, moved ahead for a first down, and that was Brown Jr. taking the rush.
Yeah, and you know what, this is something that a coach probably says, you know what, this guy's been one of our stalwarts on defense all season long. He probably played receiver, tight end, quarterback, who knows, in high school. He probably played both ways. Give him a chance, and he has a punishing run there for a first down. Good on him. They're trying to have a little bit of fun to finish off their season.
Especially with This game quickly approaching the 3-minute warning. 5 on the play clock. Quickly working back Stevens. A lot of pressure. Forced to throw it off. And does get it thrown to the turf. 2nd down.
When you get these backups in and they get an opportunity to get a sack, you got to have it. Billy Enns, who he had him right there. Matt O'Neill was in a position to also make a play on the sack. So you got both guys that are there. You get the one miss, and then you get the second miss who's there just to maybe possibly wrap it up, and neither one of them are able to bring it down. And Matt just missed that sack there, and fortunately for the quarterback, Stevens, he was able to get it in the vicinity of a receiver because Cornelius Brown Jr. was in the area. So he avoids any intentional grounding, and that's going to bring up a 2nd and long.
2nd and 10 for one of the final drives of the night. Stevens looking to loft it up again, this time too long, incomplete. That brings up 3rd down.
Yeah, he had him. He had him streaking, and it was Tristan Gilbert-Thibault again who possibly could have taken that for a house call had he connected on that. But to no avail, and the punting unit's going to come in, and you'll see here the quarterback gets it, and he knows he wants to go over the top with it. It was a pretty good ball. I don't know if it was just maybe a little tired, cold. You're trying to sprint out. They haven't really stretched the field vertically very much. So it's hard to turn the jets on when it's this cold, and you haven't really stretched your legs out that far all game long.
And it's gotten to where the dogs are now coming out to join in on the cheering. And you see that puppy enjoying itself with under 2 minutes to go. Punted away inside the 5 after a bit of a scramble about. Return from about midfield. This is Cooper. Marcus Cooper getting some blocks. Rushes out at around the 30. And a solid return after a not so great start to the punt.
Yeah, it was a very good punt, and you want to kick it outside the number, so that was a good spot, but the coverage just wasn't there. He really wasn't touched for the balance of the entire run until he actually was pushed out of bounds. So good catch in the air, good return, and didn't even get touched.
Wasn't sure if that was going to get off at first, we'll say. But one game we know for sure that's taking place on the 20th. It's the OFC final, the Fratmen, the Beefeaters. Be sure to tune in here on Wheat Digital to see who will win the OFC this season for the championship. Incomplete on 1st and 10, meanwhile, with under a minute to play in this game.
Yeah, Carson Cleater ran free, and Dan Mayu just overshot him there. And I don't know if Carson was thinking he was the number one on that, but he didn't seem to really get going. So that was a missed opportunity for him to find the end zone. And we're probably counting down 1, maybe 2 more plays right now, Justin, in this game.
So this quickly wrapping up tonight's action for 2nd and 10. Handing off of the ground, nowhere to go for McKenzie. So a loss of a couple. Want to ask you this on this mark. For Quinte, there are a lot of positives, we'll say, defensively. While, yes, there's the big margin scoring. They led the league in forced fumbles. They were 2nd in forcing turnovers on downs. They have some promise for next year.
No question. And the bottom line is when you're in a situation like they are as an upstart league, and this is going to be the final play for a kneel down, Justin, but the reality of it is they have a lot to work with going into next season.
But for the Fratmen, their season continues. They are off to the OFC final. 47-3 is the final. And the undefeated season continues for St. Clair as a result of this victory. In turn, they will take on London for the championship again at 7 p.m. on Saturday, November the 20th, here on Wheat Digital. A huge game to keep in mind. The first time these two teams played against one another, it was close within a touchdown. The second time, a bit larger of a margin. But the pressure will be on between the battle of the Forest City and the Rose City. Respect being shown by the various sides for Quinte, ending their first season with a postseason bid and a strong performance at times with some stellar individual plays, but in the end, it is the Fratmen who take the victory. On that note, our own Dominic Papa is now standing by field side. Let's join Dom after the big victory to move St. Clair into the finals. Dom, over to you.
Back here down at field level, the Fratmen successful in their semifinal game against the Quinte Skyhawks, 47-3 final. Coach Mike Lachance, as always, joins us on the post-game report. Quickly, what do you take out of this game here, Coach?
Well, we got out of it clean, no injuries, and we won. So regardless of the score, it was good. It was successful. I thought our offense and defense, our starters, our ones played well. We got done what we needed to get done. In the second half, we got out without injuries. So,
how tough was it for you and the coaching staff, Coach Lachance, to not look beyond this game?
Not tough at all, actually. This is a very focused group. Sometimes I think the year off made a lot of the veteran players realize how important football was to them. We got a very focused and mature group, so it was a good week of practice. We prepared very hard for Quinte, and now on to London. Yeah,
let's talk about London. Of course, huge rivalry. Of course, they're the defending champions technically. I mean, since it was a couple of years ago. You've got it here at your home field. I mean, everything seems to be falling into place heading into the week. What will you stress during practice?
It's going to be a battle. I mean, they have 2 or 3 of the best linebackers in the league. They got the defensive player of the year with Fletcher at defensive line, and they've got a really good secondary. So I know offensively we're going to have trouble. Offensively, they present some issues for us. They've got an outstanding running back in Taz Van Bell and a veteran quarterback with McCallum. So, yeah, it's going to be a good game. We'll prepare real hard. They got a good coaching staff, so we'll have to get them ready.
Exciting, though, Coach, to have it at this new stadium, first-year stadium for you guys, and now this is your home field. How exciting to have that game here.
Yeah, that's it. That was our goal at the start of the year, is to put ourselves in a position to host playoff games, conference finals, and if everything goes well, national finals. So we're ready for it.
I like that. I think you're ready for it too, Coach. Good stuff. Congrats on the win tonight.
Appreciate it.
Coach Mike Lachance doing a great job, as always, with his team. He has them ready to go. OFC final. Let's put it up there. It's going to be next Saturday night, right back here at Acumen Stadium. Of course, We Digital Productions will be here. 7 p.m. will be kickoff time, but we'd much rather have it at the stadium. The stadium is going to be packed that night, so make sure you come early. Going to be a fun night, going to be a great night of football. And the OFC title, of course, is on the line, so this is something the Fratmen have been waiting for a long time. Once again, the story here tonight, the Fratmen successful in their semifinal game against Quinte, 47-3 final. They move on to host London next week. We will be back. I will be back next week. All of us will be back. Hopefully it'll be a little bit warmer. It's chilly out tonight, folks, but we'll be here nonetheless. That's the story here from Acumen Field. Until next week, this is Dominic Papa wishing you a great night. Take care, everybody.